Hackathon finalist pitches here in the next 10 minutes. So get ready for that. 10 minutes, and we'll be on the Hackathon finalists. I can't speak. getting ready to start the hackathon and the hackathon finalists. If you are involved with the hackathon, make sure you're over here and get ready to go. Judges, you'll be up here at the front of the room at this table where I'm standing. My hand is in the air. And we'll get started as soon as everyone is ready. A few minutes. before we get started with the hackathon, we are going to do another giveaway here. Everyone is entered in this raffle. This one is going to be for a totem. Now, this isn't the special unique Genesis totem, but this will be a totem. And the winner?
Cryogenics.
Cryogenics, everybody give it up for Cryogenics. Are you here? All right, we will write it, re-roll, no. We have plenty of prizes, we'll do some more giveaways later. We are getting ready for the hackathon, 3 minutes, and we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody enjoyed their lunch. Welcome back. This is our afternoon programming is beginning, and we are going to start with the hackathon. Now, this year's hackathon is a little bit different. We had a couple different tracks, so what you're about to see is a variety of presentations based on those tracks by our hackathon finalists. So first of all, let's give it up for all of our hackathon finalists. Now, we do have our judges panel right here in front, and we have a mic. Martin, will you turn on this mic real quick? Let's go around and have our judges introduce themselves. If you'll just stand up, say who you are and where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Oh, cool. We're starting with me. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie. I live here in Las Vegas, so this is very convenient for me. I have been involved in Web3 for about almost 8 years now, and I have worked with hundreds of different types of tokens, working out different viabilities and tokenomics, and the actual business structures behind them, and then helping mint the coins. So I'll probably be looking at a lot of these from more of a business perspective. Thanks.
Give it up for Jackie.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Murray Newlands from Open Future Technology. We're an incubator, and I've worked for a bunch of funds in Silicon Valley. So I'll be looking at these from a startup perspective and investment perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrina. I'm from FIFA, so I'm working there in the eFootball and gaming department. So it's a pleasure being here. Also taking care of our partnership, obviously, with Upland, being one of the games of FIFA's gaming portfolio.
Hello everyone, my name is Luis Perez. I actually work at the EOS Network Foundation as a developer advocate, and my role there is essentially to connect the community with the blockchain, using the tools and promoting the tools that they use to grow the ecosystem, and essentially continue to be part of it. And I'm looking at this from the innovation standpoint, how they use the blockchain, how they bring value to both Upland and, of course, the back-end side of things. So thank you.
All right, thank you. One more big round of applause for all of our judges. Thank you for being here. And let's pull up our first presenter. Now, how it's going to work is our hackathon finalists, they'll come up here, they'll present, and then the judges will ask them some questions. So our first presenter, it's going to be a surprise for everyone. It is, wait for it, there we go, FIFA Legit's Fantasy League. Please welcome FIFA Legit's Fantasy League.
So I can see this there, that's perfect. Yeah, hi, welcome. My name is Zuckerman, and I'd like to introduce you to the FIFA Legends Fantasy League in the name of the team of Upland. So the FIFA Legends Fantasy League, so we want to address the problem almost everyone knows. It's the lack of use for the Legends after some big events or whatever. So we just created a tool where you can use your Legends, put it into the tool, just create a team and use some social features like winning prizes, leaderboards and others, just to make some use of it. We'd use the Upland third-party development tools, the escrow and some more. And try to boost the economy with our tool. So how does it work? So we got to line up. To play the game, to create a team, you just need 4 legends, and with a higher level, you need more legends and so on. So it's just a gameplay out of it. The whole thing is based on the fan points, but we created some boosts. So if you win a game, all legends used for the game will get a boost factor, and these boost factors are permanent. So if you will keep it inside the game all the time and for the next leagues and so on. So, but we had created another boost. So if we got brand partners, for example, or we got real life results, then we can add another boost. And the last thing we want to use, it's kind of a random factor to avoid that just money wins the game. Sorry. Something we added into our game is a marketplace. So you will be able to trade the assets, the legends, right out of the game. You can trade it with all or against all these asset pairs are added from Upland to the escrow, like properties maybe, other legends, epics, and so on. You can trade it as single assets, you can trade bundles, and you can even trade mixed asset pairs, like You pay with a property plus some UPX for a legend, for example. And we are able to add the auctions into the marketplace. Yeah, how does it work with the leagues? So you created a team and you play in a league. There are some standard leagues created by us. There we use some standard settings. You win UPX, you have to pay a fee and so on, and there is a certain duration. But we created also the opportunity to use branded leagues. Like we have brand partners, they want to create their own league, or every player can just create own leagues with own settings like durations, fees, prices, and whatever. Yeah, what's next? So our game is ready to use right now, but we want to add some other features. We want to add more Upland assets. We want to expand the game into other sports, just, for example, the NFLPA or whatever. And by just finding or attracting brand partners, want to driving the growth, as the brand partners are able, or the game is able to attract other players using Upland, using our game. And the last point, and the most complicated point, is to create a platform for gaming where even players who are not able to have dev skills or to develop something are able to create their own game. Like their fantasy will just let them do. So, putting all together, our game is ready to play as soon as Upland is ready with all the features. It's easy. We just took care that that you don't have to have so much skills to play the game. We created the game like having in mind that all levels of players will have fun. If you're a beginner, if you're a professional, it doesn't matter, you can play that. We are flexible with the game and we are expandable, so we can add more features, we can just play around with the features and with the assets we're using. The game will boost the economy of Upland because the secondary market will have more use cases and more ledgers will be traded. Yeah, last but not least, it's created by the team of Upland, and a lot of guys from you just know Upland. We are there and we are reliable, and so is the game.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Give it up for FIFA Fantasy League. Let's start with the judges. Let's actually start with Jackie and then just pass the mic around for questions if that works.
Can you hear me? Yes, hi, thank you very much. A question I have for you is, what would you say would be a good differentiator that would encourage someone to play this fantasy league in your ecosystem versus just another soccer fantasy league?
The most fantasy leagues are based on real game results. Sometimes it's really complicated to get all these features, to get all the information. So we just based it on the fan points in game, so you don't have to take care of an event. So if you're not a soccer fan, you still can play the game.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Okay, can you talk a little bit more about your business model and expected revenue, etc., please?
Yeah, so we charge a little bit, a small fee from every player joins the game. Besides that, we pay out UPX prices. We keep a small amount for us. And if you trade via the game, we also get a small amount. And the third point is we are running Upland, so we got a huge user base, so we don't have to pay much attention to marketing. We just add that to Upland, and hopefully a lot of people like that and play it.
Yeah, one question from my side on the branded leagues, as this is an opportunity obviously for any kind of company, right, to be present, and any brand to be included. As we have seen already on your slides, the commercial affiliates of FIFA, how would you ensure the protection of those?
Sorry again, how do I?
How would you ensure the protection of the FIFA commercial affiliates compared to any other brands for
So
a branded league?
They have to be active. So you saw some brands like Coca-Cola as a partner of FIFA. So they have to come to us to create an account, even an account on Upland, and they manage that. So that's their decision. So no one else can create a Coca-Cola league.
Right, but what if Pepsi comes to you?
If Coca-Cola is not part of the game, yeah, Pepsi's first. But no, it's if Coca-Cola is there and Coca-Cola has just said, oh, that we don't want Pepsi or any other soft drink there, okay, we want to keep them out. So, in this way, we control that.
Okay, I know your track is actually on the FIFA track, not innovation track, but I'm still very interested in knowing how you actually use the blockchain. I know that the demo that you have on your booth there for Apex Land, you actually cross-reference certain aspects of a property that is stored on the blockchain on the backend side, and you cross-reference that with Upland-specific database, right, with the fields and so on. I want to know how you use that model within the context of this particular
The first thing, we use the Upland dev tools, right? So we get the information from Upland, we use them for the escrow container and so on. But there's some information we store on our own databases. So it's not related to the blockchain at this point. Not now, but maybe, who knows?
Okay, so for instance, if you have you're actually storing property fields essentially
Information
in that demo. But what is that? I mean, what do those fields look like? What are you storing, or what do you intend to store?
As I am not the dev,
Okay.
I can't tell. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Thanks.
More questions?
All right, I think that does us on for questions here. Thank you, everybody. Round of applause.
Thanks.
All right, and that brings us to our next presentation, which is Ladies Meta Soccer by Schachterlin. Everybody, round of applause for Ladies Meta Soccer.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me back there? All right. So, hi, everyone. I am thrilled to introduce Ladies Meta Soccer, a brand new game that promotes women in sports and women in the Upland metaverse, as well as bringing gamification and utility to FIFA legits. The ladies team consists of sunny-minded developer, Droop, designer, and I am Schachterlin, responsible for communications, marketing, and presentation. So if we're being completely honest, there's a problem. Since the end of the FIFA World Cup, FIFA legits have zero utility in Upland. This is a problem not just for those of us who hold FIFA legits in our Upland wallets, but there are 73 FIFA MetaVenture shops in Upland, which means there are 73 shop owners struggling to conduct business in a depressed marketplace. Recently, one of the shop owners told me that since the end of the FIFA World Cup, he has sold 2 normal legits from his store, just 2. And he said there's really no reason to own FIFA legits because there's no utility behind them. So this is a real problem and it needs to be addressed. So let's give a nod to the Upland team. By making its developer APIs public, Upland has empowered all of us to create our own solutions. And this is exactly what we have done by bringing you Ladies Meta Soccer. So let's talk about how this works. In order to play a soccer match, you're going to have to put one of your legits at risk, and so will your opponent. These will be held securely in escrow and resolved at the end of the match when the winner takes all. So the more people play ladies meta soccer, the more legits people need to own, and the more sales shop owners will enjoy. Connection is easy. Simply navigate to one of our dev shops, follow the instructions, and connect Ladies Meta Soccer with Upland as a third-party app. Then you can create a new match or join an existing one. Invite a friend. Choose from 32 FIFA World Cup teams. And of course, choose which one of your legits you're going to wager. Confirm your choice in Upland. And now you're ready to play a quick, exhilarating soccer match where the winner takes all. Ladies Meta Soccer is truly fun to play. I can attest to this. It's also intuitive and easy to learn and inclusive. Ladies Meta Soccer will revitalize the FIFA legit ecosystem and, importantly, prevent the same fate from befalling women's FIFA. It will stimulate social engagement and promote diversity and inclusivity in the Upland metaverse. The possibilities are endless. Tournaments, social events, brand sponsorships. Best of all, Ladies Meta Soccer just needs a dev shop and is ready to launch. On behalf of my team, I would like to thank all of you for the privilege and this opportunity to present today. And in closing, I would like to share a short gameplay demonstration. Thank you very much.
Let's get started. Let's go.
All right, judges. Let's take 2 or 3 questions from the judges here.
I have a question regarding, when you actually are using a backend technology like a blockchain, you need to essentially think about the things that you really definitely want to store on that blockchain, right? So, and sometimes you are limited by the real-time aspects of the game versus the the fact that the blockchain is not really that fast in general. So I really want to know, things that you definitely could store are things like scores, who played, and so on. So I'm interested in knowing whether your team has explored the real-time aspects of the back-end blockchain technology that actually runs under Upland, which is EOS, in terms of the speed and the things that you guys can achieve with things like storing not only the score itself, but also the trajectory of the ball and things like that. Whether you have thought about, aspects of the real-time technology that the blockchain technologies like EOS can be.
So in speaking with my developer, and he's the one that understands what you're talking about right now. But he has mentioned that were we to win, that one of the features he would like to implement is a, what did he call it? He called it game history and statistics. And so it sounds to me like the answer to your question is yes, we would like to explore it and implement.
Can you tell us some more about the team, please? About the team.
The team is Sunny Minded, who is the developer, and Droop, who does the design, the 32 sprites and the stadium, etc. And I am Shaktilan, and doing the communications and marketing and presentation. Was there something more specific? Okay.
I just want to know a little bit more detail, but thank you.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Also, yeah, living the empowerment of women is really great aspect of your product here. Can you tell us a bit more about the time beyond our Women's World Cup, so to keep the relevance of females?
Yes, so what we want to do is to create things like social events and tournaments and seasonal competition. So there's, in Upland, there's like, I think it's 7 different Upland seasons, and we want to have a variety of events such as node tournaments and seasonal tournaments and holiday tournaments and a social media presence and we want to create the ability to do post replays and that sort of thing so that it goes across social media and provide opportunities for sponsorships, both within and without Upland. Brand sponsorships, perhaps from the World Soccer Store, or sponsorships within Upland, and just we have a whole thing in our head. We have a server set up for it, and I'm extremely active in many communities throughout Upland. And so, it's something that we can create a lot of hype and fun and events out of well after the end of the Women's World Cup.
We have time for one more question. I think let's finish with Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. So this might be a two-part question, but just to clarify, the way that the tournaments would be held would be through staking merchandise from the stores? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, essentially each player chooses which of their FIFA legits that they own that they want to stake. And so you're each staking a legit, and that is held in escrow by Upland. Ladies Meta Soccer never holds it in our possession. It's securely in escrow on the blockchain, and it's resolved through the Upland API. I'm doing my best with the tech language.
It's okay.
But yeah, so.
Okay, so I guess the second part of my question then is, you had mentioned in the beginning that there was like a big drop in the stores not getting sort of sales and things like that, and that this was going to help promote that. So are you imagining then that people that want to play in these tournaments would need to continually purchase more, am I pronouncing them right, legits? Is that correct?
Yes,
Would
yes.
need to purchase more legits in order to keep playing because they're losing tournaments or whatever, so they need to kind of re-up. Is that how you're envisioning that would help stimulate the stores?
Yes, so there's a few different, types of players in Upland. Some of us, like myself, own thousands of legits, and I might not have to restock for a while. But the beauty of this game is that it's fun. It's fun to play. It's addictive, and it can become a community event, and so you can end up getting people playing ladies meta soccer that perhaps weren't interested in FIFA legits, for their original reason. And so yes, if you don't already own legits, it would give you a reason to go buy some from the store so that you have some to wager.
Got it. Okay. And just for my clarification, that would help in all these, and you can probably answer this question: is what's the value of a legit?
So some of us collected legits because they're beautiful, 3D NFTs from the FIFA World Cup, and there's collector speculation in them. And during the World Cup event, there were competitions surrounding the legits so that we could fill collections and win prizes.
So each legit is an NFT, so it's a separate value?
Yes, each legit has its own value.
Okay, so when you're staking, you're basically deciding how much to stake, but it doesn't have to be equal.
It does not have to be equal. However, you and your opponent have to agree to the set
To the
of
trade.
wagered legits before you approve to begin the match. So it is up to you. It's under player control.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm sorry I ran that over a little.
Thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies Meta Soccer, everyone. Next up, we have Keybird. Round of applause for Keybird.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin. A lot of people in here know me as The Shack. And I'm going to present to you our platform Keybird. As has been told, people love collecting. A lot of Uplanders love to collect, also in the Web3 community, and I think outside of there, sport collectors is also a great example. People really love having full sets. That's a great drive and motivator for people to buy sets. So then you have this gorgeous set. What's next? What do you do with it? That's where our platform comes in. We have created this platform that actually unlocks all these types of potential it could have. So let's see, this is our platform. And I want to show you the backside of it. So what happens there is we implemented through the Upland dev tools identity mapping. So your Upland account will be linked to our platform. Then we can actually check what assets are in there. So do these people have the full set there? And then we can actually, through the escrow containers, give people certain items if they have the full set collected. So let's see, if I want to earn that beautiful gold map asset over there, I have to check, do I have the full set to collect it? So let's see, I don't. I have 6 out of 7. I have a beautiful gold post map asset. I have all these legits over here. I have a Monero property, but I don't have the crest. So then I would go into Upland Layer 1, buy the crests, and then the platform will check it, if it's working, yeah. And then I can actually claim an item. And let's see if that works. If I go there, yeah. And then it will be dropped to me in Layer 1. So this is how, like, a basic way that this would work. But there are, like, a couple of use cases where we want to share with you. So it could be a free item that could be dropped for the first people that have the full set. It could be a raffle. It could be getting access to certain Discord nodes or Discord servers or websites. It could also be a real item that can be print on demand sent to your home if you have the NFT set collected. So why would you want to create a collection? There are a couple of reasons. It is to connect to large brands. So you're a big FIFA fan and you're also creating NFTs and want to be in line with that. This is a way to do that. If you're manufacturing in Layer 1 in Upland, this is actually a way to give utility to the people, like a reason for people to collect a full set. And if you have a node or a neighborhood in Upland, this also kind of gives utility for building there. So it's actually, you don't have to be able to code, you just have to have Keybird. And we were actually inspired by the Women's World Cup hackathon track to create this gender equality pledge with our platform, especially when we saw how little amount of women were in Web3 was quite shocking to me, and we kind of want to see if we can like uplift that a bit. And because you don't have to code, everyone with an idea can create some utility to layer 1 assets in Upland. And that's why we have this pledge. The first 3 projects that we'll do are fully female-centered, so we really want to have the FIFA female legits be our first project, and also work with female artists and like do a full female alpha. And after that, we will always have 50% of female-focused projects on Keyboard. And lastly, we're actively seeking out collaborations with everyone that backs us in this goal we have with this platform. So this is our team. That's me. I'm project lead and doing marketing, and it's all made possible technically by Steve. And in short, what we will bring, we have a clear vision on female empowerment in the Web3 space, so that's really important to us. We want to onboard new players that are either collectors or have projects outside of Upland and can now really easily get something going in Upland. And of course, for the community that's already there, we want to give them the opportunity to create utility to their own collections. So that was it.
All right, let's take 2 questions from judges here. Since this is FIFA, I see Katarina vigorously taking notes. Let's do Katarina, and then let's take a question from Maury.
Thanks, but taking note means I'm not ready yet. No, yeah, thanks for the presentation. I think what I was about to take note is, yeah, are there any plans to have like gamification that brings the fun with it?
Yeah, so actually what we try to do is, like, I for one, I cannot code, and I have lots of ideas, and the not being able to code is like a big boundary for me to actually make something. So we actually want to make sure that everyone who has lots of ideas can now do that without having to do all the dev shop stuff, and we will just want to provide it to them. So yeah, definitely this could like lead to a lot of small like gamification, because we already give them the opportunity to check if people have certain assets and can use it without them having to code that all. So yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about where you've got to with partnering with brands and companies within Upland, and how you're making money as a business?
Yeah. So it's a two-way question, like the business model and the partnership model? Is that, yeah. Okay, so for a business model, we actually are looking for a way to make it a bit personalized based on what the project is. At first, we are just wanting to drive as many people to our platform as possible, and then see if we can like run it on ads, especially because it's bringing in lots of projects already. That makes make a lot of sense to do ads. And later on, we are going to see if we can do subscription-based business model based on the people that want to have a collection on our platform. And as for partnerships, yeah, there are a couple of different ways we're looking at it, and one of them that I'm really excited about is to have, for instance, outside artists that are not in Upland yet, that are in line with the pledge that we have, and that also, for instance, connects to what FIFA is doing with the Women's World Cup. You can see we can connect them to each other, and because we do have the network in the Upland community in manufacturing, for instance, the outside artists don't per se have to get into Upland. They have to get into Upland, of course, but they don't have to have like the factory, the spark, and do all the requirements. But we can connect them to people that already have that and create assets in layer 1.
Thank you. Keybird, everybody. Up next, we have Uplandia. Dijak, I think you have the clicker.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Uplanders, Upland Team, distinguished guests. How are you? My name is Uplando. my team member is nice to meet you, and we are thrilled to be a part of the innovation track for Hackathon 2023. Uplandia is a fantasy-based RPG that has an integration of stylized artwork and great storytelling. One of the things that we have in terms of bringing this to life is that its barrier of entry is very low. It's played on a very already well-known platform, Discord. So with 40,000 plus on Upland using their Discord, it's very easy to get into. This is a standalone, but it's best when it's a compendium to Upland. So the NFTs that you have in your wallet are going to have massive use in Uplandia. Let's take a look at the video that we have prepared for you, and as we go through actual gameplay that's in open beta right now, I'll explain more about the features of Uplandia and what you can expect from this game. All right, we're going to go straight into the gameplay. And straight off the bat, like I said, the barrier of entry here is very low. You can get very quickly acclimated to it. You simply go over to the Discord and you're going to type in some commands. Upon the commands, you have Guardian or Spirit, which is your bot. It's your guide throughout the game. You are going to be interfacing with your adventure through Uplandia. It's a trainer of sorts. And the best part about the trainer is you don't notice it's a trainer. It's the gameplay that you get into that shows you the graphics, and with your imagination, you get to unfold this adventure that you're on. You start as a townsfolk in the Borough of Queens in Fresh Meadows, and then you make your way through the game. You get to pick your path. Maybe you want to look at the parts of the game that you have to offer to start to unlock the parts of this game. So you have to be clever in finding out all the little secrets and the nuances of the game to be able to progress in the game. As you continue, you find that there are parts of this that are randomized in terms of the combat system and being able to understand and figure out how it works. Now, players in the game also, once they're choosing their path, they start to earn assets in the game. They have items that the creatures in Uplandia drop, and then they can utilize those to craft to put into a trading post. So immediately you have a commerce going on. Resident with the gold that we have, and then also UPIX. So we're using the escrow system to bring UPIX into the game. You can sell your wares in-game for UPIX or gold. You can also bring that back out into Upland and further your progression in the game. Players who already have properties in Fresh Meadows then can bring them in and leverage those to have more farms, to have more items, spices, things of that nature. This accentuates their gameplay. It also builds, as their level builds, so does their progression. To connect, you simply go into Upland. You'll use that third-party app to establish your connection so that when we look at the API, then we can bring your properties in. Now, it's not only just properties. Think of anything in a player's wallet. All of those NFTs are going to have utility, and I know that you all want that utility to be in there. Structures, legits, outdoor decor, map assets, all of that is going to have a utility inside of the game. So, as you can see, when we started out, there were about 2,200 unused properties that are slowly closing in. They're being eaten up very quickly. But, again, barrier of entry. You can be a novice player all the way up to a seasoned player and still have an opportunity to really make your way throughout this game. As you unlock more and more, you find out the secrets of Uplandia, you can sell that information in the trading post. So again, the perpetuation of the further that you go in, picking your class and making the most of what you have. Also, right now in the open beta that we have coming upon 600 players, 150 concurrent players at a time. These are testimonials from people that are in the game, singing our praises, saying that this is what they've been looking for all along. We are proud to have them in, and we are starting with the partner program, and it's right now an early adopter. So we're starting with the players that want to have their representation, be it a node or a neighborhood that they have in the game. So this is our offering, and I really hope you guys enjoy that, and I will take questions.
Let's start with Lueth. I know Lueth is probably dying to ask a question here from EOS.
Yeah, well, this is the innovation track, and I'm pretty sure you guys have innovated. But I really want to know the details of that innovation in terms of how are you using the blockchain. Obviously, this is a role-playing game, and one of the things you need to definitely do is store the state of the player going through the different stages of it. But what else is there? In what ways you're innovating that is out of the norm?
So one of the ways that we do that is, and I'm going to give you a first announcement right now. So one of our first expansion is going to be with Angela, More Cheese, an NFT artist that is utilizing the Wax blockchain to have NFTs that are already there. Once the portal fully in, you could be able to bring those in and then leverage those as a way into the game. Original art, original NFTs that have use, utility. We're looking at the Upland API and leveraging that to the fullest extent. So Upland Developers Network, being able to work with Upland to make sure that once we look at the API, that all of those NFT assets come in underneath that player, and they are able to utilize those in the game. Boosts, having all assortment of legits that could, maybe you have a pair of soccer shoes that once you bring them in, stylized based on the period, it makes you go faster, maybe a little bit more stamina, things of that nature. So that's, hopefully that answers your question in the way that we're looking to do now.
Let's go to Jackie. Finish up with Maury.
So for you guys then, how are you guys going to be doing the revenue model on this? Are you guys going to have a subscription to play, or is it going to be taking fees off things?
So right now it's free to play. The revenue-based model, first and foremost, is for the player, right? So players are able to earn UPIX, they're able to sell information, their wares in-game. For our revenue stream and our revenue model, we are taking a percentage based upon every trade. We have about 500 plus trades a day. We've already paid out nearly 500,000 UPIX already to players that have taken that back over into Upland. And then partner programs. So partners will have that capability to utilize special, unique inventory or something that they make, be it a mineral or a vegetable that they get to bring in, and then that's exclusive to them. So different regions of the map will have different aspects of them being able to trade between the different settlements around both Upland and Uplandia.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
You talked about this being in Discord and there being 40,000 people sort of in the Discord. How are you going to grow beyond that small Discord, comparatively small Discord niche?
So the Discord, and speaking of the 40,000, is leveraging that which is already known in Upland. So this game is, again, a standalone, but it's best when partnered with Upland because all those assets have use and utility. We're working with that as our base, and then that's a great place to grow from. So we can now take this further on into a web-based or an app, but mostly this already is mobile, and it can be done through web or through, like I said, like a mobile phone. So in terms of as we progress, it's partnering with Upland and working with them to utilize the best of what they have. I mean, they are our mentors, they're our peers, so we look to them for everything that they've learned and the best practices going forward. So that answers your question.
Yeah, I actually had a question in mind, but you already answered it. How you, for example, take FIFA legends and make use of, in particular, to those FIFA legends. But as this, we touched upon already, let me ask you about your team. Can you introduce us a bit further to your team?
Absolutely. Right now, it's 2 of us. We're seasoned veteran players in Upland, over 2 years. Nice to meet you has coming up over about 3 years in the game, so since its inception and since it started. I've got a MetaVentures Block Explorer store, was in the first round of that, so learning those lessons, being beta testing for Upland, understanding the mechanics, and then having the experience with other players in the metaverse, in Upland, and others. We're learning from what they have done, the missteps they may have taken, and things that they want. We listen to the players. Right now, all that player feedback is coming in, and we're leveraging that to make the best possible platform and game that we can. The thing that players have asked for, and we already have it in there, the next feature, and I want to leak this, so it's the structures. People have built with Spark all this time. They have many, many structures. Bringing that into Uplandia, maybe you're a traveler, don't have a home in Upland, you want to stay. You get to regain your health, maybe eat a little soup along the way, things that players have. That creates a stream of revenue, and that's value added, both in Uplandia and then taking it back over to Upland. So we think we know we have a really feature-rich game that's just waiting to explode.
Uplandia, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we've got 2 more presentations left. Side note, I want that music anytime I speak playing. That music's awesome. Let's welcome back to stage Dijak for Block Raiders.
Here I am again. Robin is, I think, easier to pronounce in English. And today I'm going to present to you Block Raiders, and that's the all-new treasure hunting experience. Let's see. Can someone go to the next slide? Because I don't think it's working. But first I need to introduce our team. Slav is our Unreal Engine hero. On data we have the Tempest and Ikris. Abstract is the one who made sure that we can implement everything from Upland and the Upland dev tools in our game. And then there's me, I'm the lead on the project.
Oh, I think you may be pressing the laser.
Oh, that's that button.
Yeah.
So treasure hunting, Uplanders love to treasure hunt. This is a gamification that's already in there. A lot of people do it. I see a lot of people in here who are quite addictive. And this is how it looks when you get one of the treasures. And we thought we can step it up a notch. So let's watch the trailer.
In a world where treasure hunting reigns supreme, enter a virtual space like no other. Introducing Block Raiders, a groundbreaking immersive treasure hunting experience. But remember, you are not alone in this race for glory. Some will win epics, some will lose. Get ready to harness the power of your Ready Player Me avatar in this 3D experience, mapped to real neighborhoods in Upland. Connect your Upland account, enter epics to this game's pool, and raid as much as you can. Block Raiders, powered by Unreal Engine, Blender, and the Upland Super App.
Thank you. So this is an immersive treasure hunting game. It's multiplayer, and basically it is you race against the clock or against other players to get as much UpX as possible. So how does it work? You have a group of players, and they each put in a bit of UpX. Part of it goes to the community pool of Upland. That's just the tax we have to pay. And the rest is dispersed over the game map, so the neighborhood in Upland, but then in our Block Raiders environment. So here you can see a bit of me running. So the timer goes off, and you try to get as much UpX as possible. You have to outrun your competitors that are racing at the same time, which means that at the end of the game, you can go home with more UpX than you put in, or with less UpX. That's Lizette who won, obviously. We have a lot of different game modes that we're developing. We're focusing on the multiplayer first because we really want to have that. So we have the multiplayer game engine up now already. But we also want a single player mode so you can always play even if there are not other people online. And we're working on node mode. But about the dev tools, what we're using is identity mapping. So your Upland account is connected to your account of Block Raiders, and that will pull in your Ready Player Me avatar. So that's already there. It's a cross-project avatar, and we're utilizing that. We used the dev tools to create the map. So this is actually a map in Upland. And the buildings and the building colors, it's all built in layer 1, and we're pulling that and putting that in Unreal Engine. We're going to spruce it up a little bit more on the visual front, but the base will be all blockchain Upland based. And the UpEx payment, of course, so the paying and then the paying out will work through escrow. How we want to monetize it, like a really simple way would be just to take a part of every game, like a percentage of that, but we really didn't want that because we wanted to have as much UpEx of the game in each game that people play. So we're looking at a battle pass business model. There will always be free-to-play games to play, but the battle pass will give access to exclusive leagues or more options in the game. And then we also want to have game items and ad sales in the immersive experience. And that's actually really cool because that utilizes having a property in layer 1 in Upland, because then you can put an item in there, you buy a map asset, put it on there, and we can actually bring it to life in our 3D experience. So it could like do something, can be an app, but it can also be a game feature. So we think we can bring in a lot of new players because it will give another visual to like the static map that Upland is right now. It's like really a low barrier of entrance for this game. So also if you don't know a lot about blockchain or stuff, you can play it. And because we use the Ready Player Me avatar, they are already sharing us on their social media platforms. And so other people using Ready Player Me and other projects can now also come to Upland. And for the Upland community that's there already, it's a new version of treasure hunting, which people love already, but now 2.0. And we will give utility to node neighborhood properties and assets there as well. So that was Block Raiders.
All right, let's start with Lueth and just go around the table of judges.
Okay, I'm actually very glad that you mentioned multiplayer because that adds an additional level of complexity, especially with the blockchain and what things you need to essentially add to that blockchain. So have you thought about, what additional features, what additional things you would like to use in that layer 1 connectivity with the blockchain in terms of things that you want to keep track of in your game?
Yeah, so as you saw on our team, a big part of it are people that more on the data side instead of like, for instance, the Unreal Engine side. So what we want to do is make it a bit more than just the game. We also want to make sure that it will be a sort of a platform where people go to track how their neighborhood is doing and combine that with the scores that people get from the game they play. So let's say I'm in Avalon Park, Chicago, in Upland, and I will rock that flag on the leaderboard and in the games. So that's kind of what node mode will be. But we'll also integrate the data that's already stored, and we want to expand a bit on that, on how neighborhoods are doing in Upland. So you can see, oh, they're building really well. At the same time, they're also rating really well. And we can have like all these leagues set up like that as well.
I was wondering if you had already thought about how to leverage the collaboration Upland has with FIFA in your game.
I would love to talk more about that with you. We're quite sad that the legits are not wearable. That would be like a great step up for us because that way you could actually like race with teams, like FIFA teams, so we can implement it like that. But yeah, like we would love to talk more to you about that, how to do that, yeah.
You, for some of these neighborhoods, if they're like, people own the properties that are the treasure hunts happening in, is there an opportunity for any participation or any kickbacks to the property owners for the neighborhoods?
Yeah, so that's actually where the map assets people will buy in layer 1. So we hopefully will manufacture them ourselves so we can see like the stuff that we make in layer 1 they can utilize in layer 2, and there can actually be a business model for them. So let's say I have a property in Avalon Park and I have this map asset there, which is I don't know the word in English, but where ads show up on, and I can rent that out to people because I have the property in Avalon Park, which is now not only in Upland layer 1, but it's also in an immersive experience. So yeah.
Very cool. I like that. Also, it'd be really cool to be able to kick around soccer balls to collect treasure.
I know.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was like.
Thank you. And what's your strategy for reaching out to the Upland community? Will you have raiding events, or what's that sort of growth path?
Yeah, so it's that's why I didn't go into it as much, because we focus on the multiplayer and like the single player first, because we don't want to promise a mountain and then just come with a small part. We want to do it the other way around. But node mode, what it will be is nodes against each other. So now there are neighborhood ratings, and there's like some like good spirits for neighborhoods going up against each other. So we kind of like want to tap into that to make sure that we can have like nodes racing against each other. But all the game areas will be in nodes. So we are starting with one and expanding afterwards, so they can actually like go to another node and raid all their treasures. That's kind of like that.
So you could have different soccer teams raiding each other, right?
Yeah. Like, I already know that the Dutch community is watching right now, and we have it out for the German community, so it's...
Block raiders, everybody. All right, we're to our last presentation. It's Lands Battle. Everybody give it up for Lands Battle.
Hello everyone, Musida here, and the other guy in the team is Anderson. He's back there. We came all the way from Brazil to present the old Lands Battle. And sorry about the English mistake that I'm gonna do here, but I'll try my best. So, Lands Battle. How do we start this game? We didn't begin with a game and try to figure out how to integrate it with Upland, how to bring value from Upland to our game. Was the other way around. We sit together and said, how do we add values here, here, here in Upland? How do we do that? So after some brainstorms, we came up with Lands Battle. It's a game made for Upland. So everyone here knows that it's great to have that big property that give you a lot of earnings, but in Lands Battle, we are going to add value to a lot of other things. Small properties are going to be very, very valuable for you. Buildings, collections, your home address is going to be important for you too. We are trying to add value for everything in the core of the game. So all your properties are going to be cards in Lands Battle. And they have 4 attributes: mint price, last sale price, up to size, buildings, and of course the collection. You can see if your property belongs to a collection. And in the game, we are going to battle with these cards. I'm going to show you how it works. But first, how the economics work. You play against another player, that's me and Anderson. Anderson can create a challenge and name how much is gonna be this challenge, from 500 UPX to whatever we want. So I can see the list of all the challenges that are live now, and I can choose whatever I want to play. So I choose the Anderson Challenge, so I put another 500 UPX, and the winner takes 80% of the pot, and that's all in the escrow in Upland, so you don't have to buy any burner, you don't have to send UPX, it runs all inside the Upland, so you just create, the UPX is there, if you win, the UPX go directly to your account. Here's how you build the deck. You have to have a deck with 30 cards, so you simply drag the cards into your deck, and that's the core of the game. You have to know what is the better combination you have with your properties to build a very good deck. What's the very good deck? We don't know. You have to figure out how the deck would have to look like. So you can change your deck anytime you want, but that's the beginning of the Lands battle. So this is a battle example. Here you have 30 cards, the other player has 30 cards. They're gonna be shuffled and facing down. So each round the game says what attribute it's gonna be evaluated right now. For example, up to size. And the game can say also if you are going to compare the highest up to size, the lowest up to size, or a range of a number for the up to size. So, for example, the cards are facing down and the game says the card with the lowest up to size is gonna win this round. So the cards turn the cards, and the player with the lowest up to size wins the battle, the round. So you have to have a very good deck with a variety of properties, small properties, big properties, high value properties, low value properties, buildings, and also collections. How does collection works? You can add up to 3 types of collection in your deck. So 3 hairs, 3 ultra hairs, 3 limited, up to 3. So if in a round you get a hair card, and if in the next round another hair card shows up, you get a bonus. And if in the next round the last hair card appears, so you have a hat trick and more bonus. So a deck with a lot of collections is good. And also constructions. A deck with a lot of buildings inside your properties is better for you. So people are going to try to find cards in the second market to compose the deck, to upgrade the deck. And here is the historic. All the games are stored in the database, so it's part of the core of the game. You can watch all the maps that you played before. Each round you can see it again and try to find your weakness. Maybe all the time you are losing because of buildings. So maybe you have to go into the second market and buy more properties with buildings, or build yourself your buildings. So here you can try to find what do you need to build a deck? What do you need? How do you need? How will you change your deck to be more competitive? And of course, we have the rank. We had the rank. It's not here, but we have a rank so people can try to beat your friend, to be the first one in the world. So people keep playing to get in a better position in the rank. And of course, we have a roadmap. We can add more values because we didn't have time to come up with everything. But for example, ornaments. Ornaments can give you bonus also. So if you have a property with a building and ornament, this card is better for you. Or decorations. Also, I forgot to say that your home address is your best card. So it has bonus for all the attributes it's your trump card that we say. So you have to choose wisely your home address too. So everything has value here in Lands Battle. Other things that we can do is meta gaming. Like we can each month you can say like, this month last sale price is gonna appear more than previous month. So you have to change your deck to put more variety of less sale price inside the deck. The other month is gonna be up to size, so you change your deck again to compose it with better up to size cards. So you can do that. Monthly challenges with awards, of course. Voting system, a lot of things you can do, a lot of things in the future, even real-time battles. You can maybe change, you can turn the card yourself, not watch the game turn it for you. It's a possibility. Also, FIFA, you can add FIFA Legends here. It's possible, totally possible. And that's it. That's Lands Battle.
Let's go to our judges for questions for Lands Battle.
I'll just ask a quick one. What is, I might have missed it, but can you explain to me what's actually won if whoever wins the battle?
Okay, let me back here. Here, we have a lot of rounds, 30. Okay. You can turn all the cards, but the player with 3 points wins the battle. Only 3 points, but we have a lot of draws, so it can go like until the last card maybe.
And what is it that they win?
The epics. If I create a challenge, for example, 1,000 epics, you accept the challenge, so 2,000.
So you're
epics.
staking. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the winner get 80%. So we get 10%.
Got it,
and
okay.
Upland get the other.
And are these just in the game, or are these on chain as well? Your cards, are they like separate assets?
No.
Okay.
The cards are just it's front end. We read all your properties inside the game. You have filters, you can filter all your properties, and it runs on iPhone, Android, web, everywhere.
Just to clarify, though, they are actual assets that
Yes.
person has. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I realized from your roadmap that you had voting system. I just want to know if you can elaborate a little bit on that in terms of is that a reputation system and what are you voting on, etc.
Yeah, we can add like what the progress of the game, like what do you want more in the game, what are things that the community wants to be valued. Like, we want more legends to be valued here, the FIFA legends. So we're going to try to make it the next round of the game, the next version of the game. That's the voting system.
Lands Battle, everyone. All right, let's give one last round of applause for all of our hackathon finalists. They did a great job. It's very exciting to see what's being worked on, what's coming. A round of applause for our judges. Thank you, judges. We appreciate you being here. We do have snacks, and the rest of the afternoon here until dinner, or not until dinner, but for the next couple hours, booths will be open, while at the same time there will be some panels that we're hosting here. We'll be doing giveaways. Again, make sure you go refresh with snacks. Our judges will deliberate, and tonight we will award our hackathon finalist winners. Can our hackathon finalists go out to the Step and Repeat? We're going to do interviews with everybody out there for video content. All of our hackathon finalists, if you can go out to the Step and Repeat just outside. Everybody, our first panel is going to be hosted by Goldsmith, and he's going to be talking to Dirk about the economy. If you're interested in that panel, come give it a listen. It'll start in 5 minutes. All right, before we start this first panel, let's do one more giveaway here. Lizette is spinning. This is for another totem, everybody. One lucky winner will get, or a second, I guess, will get a totem. And the winner.
Board of Money.
Board of Money. Board of Money, congratulations. You won yourself a totem. Everybody, round of applause for Board of Money. All right, now we're going to have our first panel on the economy, Upland Economics. Our host is Goldsmith, and Dirk Lueth is sitting on this panel with Goldsmith. Everybody, round of applause for Goldsmith and Dirk.
I'm going old school in this. All right.
We're live? Good. Perfect. So, Dirk, first, it's one of those need no introductions, obviously, but you do have a PhD, background in economics. You're going through and doing your, PhD dissertation, I believe, was specifically on currencies and international markets. Yes.
Yeah, so it was about the European currency union, right, with the euro. Was basically the content was about private and state-controlled currencies, right? And I was analyzing, how the euro is it's going to be a stable currency or not, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was basically what I researched on.
Appreciate it. So, and again, coming into that, again, your background coming from an economic base, knowing that the game of Upland, the way the game of Upland's built, the the game of Uplands obviously built around this idea that we have a community pool. Community pool is funded by transaction fees. That we have from that self-funded stable base. We have dividends that are being paid out. We have that there's bonuses, ways people get bonuses on those dividends getting paid out. There's some of that same pool that gets paid out for prizes. What was your inspiration for the economic system in Upland?
So when we thought about when we create such a metaverse right at this time, and maybe anecdote, not maybe everyone has heard about it, but when we actually signed up for our URL, we called it upland.me for metaverse in 2018, but at that time no one was talking about the metaverse, right? But we always said we want to build a parallel world. And what we always had in mind to have really this parallel approach, right? It's like a nation state, right? Where you have multiple factors of production, right? So and different stakeholders. So first of all, we always knew there will be one stakeholder at least at the beginning. That's us, the operator, because we have to come up with certain things. And then you have the community, right? But we said we have to separate actually, what flows into our pool and into the community pool, right? That's as such. So we created those two different pools, right? And each time now we are selling UpX. I mean, this is our business model, right? There's no hiding, right? We're selling UpX to fund, the company, to pay our employees. We do take that out of the Upland pool. And then we have actually the community pool, which is actually then when you do a transaction, those 5% on both sides going into it. Or, when we pay out treasure hunts, and all that, it's coming out of that. So the idea was basically that we create some kind of an economic cycle, which is very important. Like in every economic system, you need to have that. And first of all, because the economic cycle should support what we call the 4 factors of production, right? And when we build this new nation state, one factor of production is land, which includes resources, which we don't have really yet. Land, of course, we have, right? You have to have land in order to build something on top of it. Resources right now is a little bit Spark, right? It's a little bit different implemented, but clearly in the future can also be that you can go mine for Spark somewhere, right? So that's possible. So that's the first production factor. The second one is actually labor, so people do the work, right? Then you have the third one is capital, so people who bring in money, and machines also, the quotation marks, and the fourth one is then entrepreneurship, right? So you need that foundation in order to build that nation state, right? So that's what basically that's what we came up with. It's a very classical approach in economics, and so once we had that, then we looked at currencies. So we said, okay, because of the typical, sorry, it's very theoretical, but I maybe just to give people the background here. Is then we have UpX, right, which is actually a medium of exchange. Currencies have really 3 functions, sometimes also different functions, but usually it's medium of exchange, store of value. So Bitcoin is a typical store of value type of currency, and medium of account. So up in Upland, mainly its main purpose of UpX is medium of exchange, right? But now we have actually everything. We have the production factors and we have the currency, right? And now we can actually implement certain monetary policy, right, with the ultimate goal, right, achieving a stable economy, right? So that was a little bit. So back to your question is, we didn't reinvent the wheel, right? We just took what has been proven and been seen in research for many, many years, right? We just took that and created then basically the economic foundation of Upland out of it, right? It's a copy of any country, of any land, basically.
So when you started with the idea, that 4th factor was entrepreneurship, that was sitting there as something that wasn't being pushed in the early part of the game, and now we see more and more of that with the UDN projects. We see more and more of that with MetaVentures. Was that always planned to be a couple years down the road, or did that get reinvented as far as how you were going to bring that factor into the game?
Hey, sorry, real quick, Goldsmith, can you just put the mic in front of you're like speaking to the side. We have to hear you.
What was it? Sorry.
Oh, no, the directional on the mic.
Okay. Yeah, just speak into the top and you'll be good, Goldsmith.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect. That's it.
Beat bump.
Fair enough. So, yeah, I'll repeat. So, with the idea of the, entrepreneurship being such an important part of the economy, that being something that you would recognize up front was one of the pillars that you want to build through. Obviously, it wasn't part of the economy up front. It took a couple of years to really get pushed in. With the more UDN, there obviously were other ways people were building the economy out. There was actions people were taking, but there wasn't really player input to that economy in the entrepreneurial sense. Now that's happening a year and a half, 2 years later. Was that always something that you put on a 2-year roadmap, or is that something that evolved over time?
It was always in there, right? Yeah. Because we said, okay, but obviously we needed to build the functionality out, and maybe also one economic view on it. So when you want to create an economic system, what you need to have in an economy is what we call velocity. That means people are interacting with each other, right? Yep. And at the beginning when we launched, obviously we haven't built out a lot of features. So we replaced that interaction with goods and services, what people do today more and more. We replaced that with actually UpX, the free UpX yield, right? So we took the free UpX yield because when you buy a property, you get the UpX, which is some kind of a subsidy to support economic activity, because now you have an incentive to buy maybe another property because you earn some UpX or you complete a collection, whatever, right? So that has helped to kick off the economy, right, as such, right? Yeah. And the velocity has started. And we always said, and I know people don't like to hear that, but we always said that is only, temporary.
I was going to put that point out there, was that I wanted to, put a pin in that and get back to that, but the idea of dividends being, a temporary market function, that's not,
it's not. We never
it's
said.
Not there forever.
Well, the thing is, it will become. Right now, at the beginning, it was a thing to inside velocity, inside activity. But now we have all those entrepreneurs like MetaVentures and so on. We have, what we just seen, right? It was awesome. All these new third-party developers who are coming in. That there will be a lot of activity coming out of that, right? The consequences, people will have enough reasons to interact with each other, like in the regular world, right? Because the state doesn't give you money today.
No.
maybe for some reasons, right?
It depends on what the country is, but yeah.
It depends, right? In Europe, we get much more.
Yeah.
But anyways, but to get to just, right? Someone has to actually create that money, so people have to work on it. Entrepreneurs, laborers, people have to create the value. And that's exactly what we intended to do. That's the reason then it will replace, the UpX yield in the future, right? Yep. For the interactions. However, we will still use UpX yield as a method of monetary policy, right? That's also when you think about the Federal Reserve or European Central Bank, they're using that in order to stimulate or unstimulate activity.
Incentive to hold, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep, of course. And I guess that one thing I want to put up was this idea of the balance and the shift as Upland is going to be increasingly driven by those third-party developers, increasingly driven by player-run businesses, and we're seeing the UPX between parties and Upland, pushing in the third party, the third party being a larger and larger source of where the transactions are going. What are we looking at as far as you're concerned? With these new opportunities coming in, where do you see that that growth, that shift, being for the overall Upland economy as it sits now? To how much of that is going to shift either out of game, with third-party development, or moving over into direct-to-player businesses?
So if I get the question correct,
yeah.
So first of all. So the third-party developers, so the new apps, which we call them, right? When people are going to these other worlds, right, like XNFT or UpX World or wherever they're going to go, right, and all the apps we just saw, right? Yeah.
So transactions taking place essentially outside of Upland,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now the big question is, what is happening? Because what we want that people can take their assets with them. They can take their UpX with them. They can take their NFTs with them, right, or whatever they have, right? But when you think about it, it's exactly like in the real world, right? I'm from Europe, right? Europe used to have lots of currencies, and then they decided to merge everything into euro, right? So that's exactly the thing. But however, the single economies, they're still producing their own goods as such, right? They have their own tax system and so on, right? So what you see is in the old, before the euro was around, those countries were very much independent, right? But now they've merged a little bit much more together because obviously the currency glues them together. And in our case, it's actually the other way around. We had the currency first, and now we're actually expanding out, right?
Yep.
But however, as long as they use Apex in their worlds, their economy will be tied to our economy, right? That they will be cannot be independent of it.
And I guess on the idea of markets and the way the markets are built, really, and again, it's a fair point to be made, and Upland's made that a point a couple times, is the USD and the UPEX market. They're two separate markets. They're two separate, more or less parallel economies that are built into the game. With that being a fact, we obviously see some deviation between those two markets, the way they line up. In the course of the recent past here, that has become a larger divide. As of right now, with the focus having been put in the game, with a play to earn possibility always being USD out. Where do you see at this point is Upland, or should Upland have a role, or does Upland have a role in preserving that value of USD out, or preventing again rushes on people trying to sell out into USD, or is there any controls that Upland would consider?
So, I mean, the most of the control we're implementing is in the Apex, environment. And we cannot. I mean, we can only, to a certain degree, could control the fiat out, right? Because the only thing we could do is say, hey, instead of 5%, you have to pay now 50%, right?
Yeah.
And then, we would kill that, right, in a certain way. But I think the people would not like that, right? So that's the only method I see, because there's only one direction where it's going, right? But in Upland, Apex we control much more. We do different things, right? And we don't see that all the time. But how much, what kind of treasure hunts we're running, how much we're paying out there, right? And all that is part of our monetary policy, right? And what we're trying to find a good balance between not inflating too much. That's also a risk, right? If we put too much Apex into the system, right, then it gets too high and so on.
And that's where some of that divide between the USD and the Apex comes from.
But that was an expected effect. The day one when we started, when we launched Apex, the total exchange rate was always 1-to-1, right? But now we give them away, in quotation marks, lots of free Apex, right? And right now I assume it's basically a fair exchange rate back is 1,500 to 1 or something, right? Roughly, 1.4, 1.5.
Depending on the market, yeah.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on the market. However, and this is now again coming back to my earlier, the more interactions will happen, the less we have to subsidize transactions, right? That will actually reduce again, because with more people coming in, this will have a lower effect, right? And then also the markets, US dollars and Apex are gonna. That's the theory.
Yeah.
We're doing something novel here.
Yeah.
They will actually come closer to each other again.
And,
right?
that was the economic theory, is that if we have more people buying Apex, bring new players in, more people buying Apex, and then using Apex in the system, that's also going to close that window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, right? So that's because it depends a little bit. Do we get faster people in and spending more Apex, right, or out, right? So that's but it's mathematical.
Yeah. Perfect. And I think the solution, I don't know if you're not putting it out there loud enough, but I think part of that solution that's going to draw those two together is the Apex buyback, which has been a very, very recent announcement. Again, first being opened up to UDM projects, so that they don't have to sell out to get the USD out. They don't have to push the bottom of the market. They don't have to push the floors down in USD in order to get that USD out. And or Upland is going to be setting that buyback ratio. Is that buyback ratio something you guys are already looking at as a tied to what the market is set for, or are you going to try to set that in a way that's going to help encourage long-term here, encourage those two markets to become closer together?
So the way it's a mix actually of things. So because we cannot buy, also for regulatory reason, buy back Apex from users,
of course.
right? But if there's because we do, if there's a B2B kind of agreement, we can do that with the developers, right?
Yeah, of course.
And they need to be incentivized. Just imagine, a developer, and you earn 10 million of Apex, right? Now you have to find a buyer, you have to do, and that just doesn't work. That's the reason we're buying it back, right? So as such, right? And the exchange rate is then a mix. The way we buy it back is actually standardized, right? It depends a little bit on the product also and how much we want it to incentivize, right? It's also incentivization, right? Of course, when we had to do, a fair buyback, what I said is basically 1,400 to 1,500 at the moment, right? However, we might lower it when people are successful because we want to incentivize them to do more, right? And then they actually get a little bit. This is a subsidy of the developers for us.
Perfect. I mean, I guess as part of the economic impact of that, we've talked to the UPI1, that vote, bringing back this idea of Upland recycling UPEX from the community pool as a function of essentially a fee for running the economy. So this recirculation might delay the idea of having to do, a liquidity injection or increase the overall supply of UPEX.
Can you rephrase? I'm not.
So with this recycling, essentially being able to buy the UPEX back from developers, do you see that as continuing to delay the need to expand the overall supply of UPEX?
Yeah, let's see, because it depends what the sizes are, right? So it's a little bit hard to say, right? So
it depends on the onboarding, right?
Yeah, onboarding and the numbers of users and so on, right? So we can run a few scenarios which we still have to do, but we also still have to learn because all these developers then new for us, right? And we have to see how fast they do certain things, right? And maybe they have also reason not to change it back, right? So,
That's why you're going to pilot it and take it from there, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why we do alpha betas. As far as as far as those devs coming in, we're talking about the devs. We're talking about being able to cash out with more and more of the game going that direction with devs. More and more of the game going the direction of third-party actors coming in and profiting out of Upland. What safeguards are being built right now or being explored for things like liquidity crunches or market runs or other macroeconomic stresses?
Yeah, so first of all, we're not completely immune against macroeconomic stresses. We're not immune against it, right? General market stresses, right? It's clear when people in real life have less to spend, they will spend less in Upland. The other way around, when they have a lot to spend, they might spend more there, right? So we cannot isolate it. So we're still connected to the real world economy, right, as such. Because also we always say we are an open economy, right? That means we can't do it. So what we have in place is, of course, we have this fixed exchange rate, which was nice because when there was a bull run of cryptocurrency, people always said, why don't you have an external currency, right? When everything dropped, we were able to shield some of the extreme developments of our users, just from currency perspective, right? Otherwise, we have a few other tools, but the problem is we don't have, except maybe for one users, we don't have an accumulation of a lot of wealth with just a very small amount of users, right? I mean, that's a very healthy economy, right? We have to look at the latest numbers, right? Where we have, how many executives and how much we have to say, right? It's not like that's only 5 people basically managing 30% or 40% of the economy. That would be risky, right? Because they could initiate something.
Yeah, of course.
But since we have over 300,000 landowners, right, this risk is actually a little bit less.
Distributed,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and again, again, the idea of people were saying, what if a big developer comes in, and that was a big concern, right? Is how do we shield or insulate the economy against that? But I mean, it's I know you've done economic shifts in the past, changed some of the policy as some of those things come in. I didn't know if you had anything in mind, or you're just going to watch it as it comes.
We play it by ear a little bit, to be honest, right? Look, I mean, when you think about also how the Federal Reserve, right, or the European Central Bank, how they're acting, right? It always sounds that they know what they're doing, but I tell you, they also try out things, right?
Exactly.
It's complex stuff, right?
Perfect. Perfect. As we let me take a look where we are. That's about bad. And again, I guess a big one is we have life coming. Life is coming in, and whereabouts on don't know. Several months, right? With life coming to the economy, it's obviously going to bring its own economy of scale. It's going to bring a different market draw where there's going to be a different level of activity. Theoretically, people's OpEx are going to be drawn in that direction. Have you already looked at, or what do you forecast this new set of economies, just like we had a Spark economy come into the game, how do you forecast this new economy affecting the existing?
First of all, they're connected, right? Spark and Apex are somehow connected also, right? When you look at the Spark exchange, so we come to that maybe later.
Of course, yeah.
But when you think about STEM, it's going to be an inflationary token, right? There's going to be theory endless of it, right? As such, right? Because people have the chance to create it. Right?
Yeah.
That's because when you plant a tree, when you plant whatever, right? And in order to create food for then other animals or so, right? You can, when you do the right job, you create actually a lot of STEM, right? And eventually you can, then sell that STEM or do something to others, right? So I think there will be, so it will be part of the overall economy, right? And the most important thing is people will have then a choice, right? Do I now buy something, which supports life, do I do this, or do I put something for Spark, in order to build something, or do you need Apex to buy something, of an object like a car or something, right? So people have the choice to spend their money somewhere. It's very much like in real life, right? Either you buy food, or you decide to starve today, right? Because you want to go and buy, a new, whatever, soccer ball or so, right? I don't know, just stupid example. But you get the idea, right? So you have choices, also in Upland, right? And then depends, at the beginning there will be, maybe people will be drawn very heavily to STEM, right? But then when there's kind of a market saturation, then people will go back to the others, right? There's this whole cycle which is working.
Of course,
yeah?
Of course. No, I just didn't know if you were prepared for the concept of, if we're bringing a new level of gamification, potentially bringing in a new customer set, if there was any idea of that new customer set potentially affecting, the way the game is played on the property side of things.
Oh yeah, that's indeed. I mean, with each new, let's say, broader feature set, we're gonna have new people coming in, right? Maybe when people hear now about car racing, they're coming in. Variables will attract certain, new customers or users. Right, and the same people who love, we all remember Tamagotchi, right? So once we have now STEM and you can support live, people maybe just love to do that, right? And then they come because of that, right? So this will also be a draw. That's correct.
Yeah, and again, I mean, is that something that you see as just being blended into the economy, or do you see that as being a supportive factor here on all the other values that are already in the game?
No, it's going to support it, because that's, again, increases the velocity in the whole overall system. Right?
Yeah, perfect. And I guess a question that I've got to ask, otherwise people will be pretty upset about, is this idea that we've already got this idea with Spark. Obviously Spark, as an economy, we've seen that the rental rates have significantly depleted, mostly because that there isn't seen a direct use case for structures that exist. The number of structures is obviously saturated to the point where there's not enough meta ventures to justify them, and it's going to be a hard thing to catch or a hard thing to build up on. What is Upland looking at as the potential, if any, of doing something in layer 1 to increase value, or is that something that Upland has already said we're going to need layer 2 to make these more valuable to help affect or help fix the Spark economy?
Well, layer 2 is always one tool to do it, right? But within Upland, of course, to get the right, supply of Spark, right? That's also something we have to try, and how people, because at the beginning was a very high demand, right? We figured, okay, we need to distribute more Spark, right? But then people start building, and we see that our, the rate of building is still, quite increasing all the time. So people are engaging as such, right? So, but what is the bottom line is, we have to create much more usage for Spark. Right, and I see, so for instance, one day you're going to need Spark in order to, this is a replacement of gas, right, or electricity to drive your car, right? So that's something, you probably need Spark as a replacement of energy, right? This is just not implemented.
Well, that was part of it, right? Is like we knew that this was coming to cars, and that for a short period of time inflated the value of Spark, because people saw Spark as going to have a mixed use case. We're going to have a use case for structures, and then later for energizing cars. And it made a temporary circumstance where, until we had energy for cars, Spark was, potentially inflated or at least held up
It's inflated, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of spark out there, right? So, but it will go up and down, right?
Yeah.
That's how the market economy works, right? There's not always people always expect that everything has to go up all the time, right?
Of
But
course.
it's not. It's going up and down, the supply and demand, right? Because the overall economy of Upland on macro level, right, is very healthy. When you look at micro level, people might be unhappy because they're selling their properties for less or so, right? But the overall structure is very strong, right? And so far, we're very proud to have built that.
Yeah, I mean, I could argue we need to bring more players in, but again, there's lots of things going on.
I completely agree, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason we have to work. I mentioned what we want to do in
Yeah.
order to get more players
of
now,
course.
right? I completely second that, right?
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. And again, this idea that theoretically, when the use case for cars, for using Spark, that's going to boost that market significantly. And it's just, I think that's something that the economy is waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But these are two things. Either we get new people or we find more utility for a resource token like Spark.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, first I want to thank you for your time. I did get a wrap-up signal around the corner, so I want to take that seriously.
Okay.
But as I'm doing so, anything specific you want to put out there as far as the state of the economy or your thoughts on the Upland economy here as we move
Yeah,
forward?
before David's throwing me out here, I mean, one last thought I want to have is also when we, people are also asking, we're opening up new cities. Why we open up so many new cities, right? But I think we always said, okay, either, cities are sold out. We had the Manhattan effect, like when Manhattan was there and the prices went up like crazy. This is not healthy for an economy, right? Or we have a partner. But now we're adding actually a third component to it. And the third component is basically we're going international. Yeah? And we want, when now all the Germans are coming in, right? They should not see that everything's sold and so on, right? So we really need to provide more local supply in those international cities. So they actually get more excited to come on. That's something we found out, when we interview people, when we do when we look at the data.
A stage release as opposed to just a full release.
That's the reason, exactly. We're doing smaller releases, not full releases, right? But we're doing more cities and so on, so to get more international audience, which helps then the overall liquidity and everyone else. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I definitely can have a much longer conversation with you, maybe in person, maybe later, maybe interview somewhere. But thank you so much, Dirk. Thank you so much, Dirk. It sounds like the future is bright for Upland economy.
Thank you very much. And hope it was not too boring. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Yes,
All right, before we get to our next community panel, we've got some giveaways to do. Hold on, let's announce it first before we... It's the only fair thing. We got some big giveaways here. Hold on, let me pull up my list. All right, we are going to give away... How about we give away a Series 1E silver car? All right, Series 1E silver goes to...
Oh my goodness. NFTs 000. I'm sorry.
Or NFT 5000. NFT 5000, NFTs. Congratulations. You've won a Series 1 silver. Let's do another one. Let's do a Series 1 yellow. Series 1E yellow car.
No. Okay.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah.
TMS HRV. He's back there. Everybody, round of applause. All right. Congratulations. All right, we will drop those to you. Let's do one more. Let's do another totem. This one's for a totem.
All right, winner is...
Another one. Oh my goodness. Board of Money won again. Congratulations, Board of Money. That guy should go to Vegas. Well done. All right, we'll do more drawings. 5 minutes and we'll start our next panel hosted by Too Stupid to Win, all on community and meta-ventures.
Hey, how's everyone doing? I'm Too Stupid to Win, host of the Upland Property Experts podcast. This panel is about communities and meta ventures in Upland. We have Jacqueline, one of the nominees for Player of the Year with us. We all know the Goldsmith from the last panel just hosted with Dirk on the economy. And we have the pleasure of having the co-founder and CEO of Nowhere, John Morris, on here with us today. So, Jacqueline, we'll start with you first because you're seems like in every community in Upland. How do you view what the communities can do for Upland?
Wow. Communities are Upland. I don't know. I mean, to me, Upland is an example of the world, except the world in digital form, and working together as communities, supporting each other. We can use the Upland platform to show what the world could be if we all did the right thing, you know? And so to me, the community is what makes Upland really special. And when we meet here together like this, we hear about each other's dreams and projects, and we realize that there's more than our own dreams and projects, but we're all the same because we all have dreams and projects. And so we fall in love with each other while we're here, and then we go back and we support each other and find out ways to collaborate together. And that makes Upland better. And it invites others to come and join because they see how wonderful we are, right? The news spreads, the word spreads, the vibe spreads. So Upland's doing that for us by providing the platform, but we're doing it for Upland by being the community that is Upland. And so I think community is really special, and that's why I try to be part of a little bit of everything, and I just really believe that we love each other and support each other, and that's my main thought about all of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Shaq. Goldsmith, what's your big take on the impact of communities and how it's impacted Upland and will impact Upland as we continue to build?
Oh, for sure. I mean, one of the things that has made value for any property has been the communities people have built in those areas. The idea that nodes are being encouraged and nodes are being pushed by Upland over time here. That there's more and more value to being a node. That's been something that's already existed for a very long time. It's affected property values in those areas just because people wanted to be there. But of course, the other side of that is the communities people build around who owns what properties where. That's things in Discord, and very shortly that's going to be directly in the game of Upland, being able to have cafes, people being able to interact in a strong way. And again, that's going to both have a geolocation effect, make areas more valuable, but it's also about tying people together. And again, that was always a part of Play, Earn, Connect. The Connect is a big part of the game. And overall, that is what can continue to propel Upland to be a larger game. Is going to drive expansion, and of course, is what makes it fun.
Thanks. And John, I know you're new to the Upland community, but the question that I'll rephrase the question for you is, with the partnership of Upland with Nowhere, how is what your company does will help improve the communities in the Upland with what you're offering?
First of all, it's great to be here and meet the community and really get to know Upland a little better. It's been a fast and furious build to get these cafes in, and so it's really awesome. Great work to the Upland team. So, I mean, I think you said it's play, earn, and connect, and Nowhere offers the connection, point of social gathering. Our mission at Nowhere is to revolutionize gathering, and that's not only in the virtual space, but also in the hybrid space between a real conference like this, where we're gathering here. What if all the cafes in Upland could have a hybrid experience where we could be not only relating with each other in this room, but globally around the world. Obviously this is the dream of the metaverse, and that's our mission at Nowhere, is to really bring people together from all over the world. So when I hear you talk about community and the importance of that within Upland, I can't think of a better partnership where we're able to offer something, to bring people together, to be able to socialize, to have the spatial audio, to move through these cafes, to meet new, people from all around the globe who own properties, and have those conversations taking place within the platform. So, we're really excited to really add that layer to Upland, and because we know the power of bringing people together. That's why we're all here. That's why we traveled from all over to be here together. Is not for necessarily the presentations. We could do all that online right now, but to actually shake hands, to hug, to go to the interim spaces, the lunch, the hackathon. And so eventually the dream is to bring all of that into these cafes, into the properties in Upland, so that the community can grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the cafes and what the partnership with Nowhere and Upland is going to do. When we started the game, if you were back in the late 2019, early 2020, there was no Discord. It was on Telegram, and it was very interesting messaging at the time on Telegram. And then we moved to Discord, and in-game chat finally happened. So the cafe is the next step, and as John said, that's definitely the connect part of Upland. So very excited to see how this develops there. Now, with MetaVentures, the businesses of Upland, as they're continuing to grow, I know, Shaq, you have one. Goldsmith, you don't. Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. I've definitely worked with some businesses that exist, currently and previously, but not my own, not yet.
Do you have?
That's on the Upland team.
Oh, okay. You're in waiting.
In waiting.
In waiting. Okay. As we get through this bottleneck of MetaVentures and it starts opening up, how do you see that impacting these communities? Will the businesses that establish it need the support of the community, or do you think that they can come in and just say, here's my product, and roll?
I mean, the best way for a MetaVenture to be a MetaVenture, to be successful, is to build their own community, right? They have to embrace the community of Upland as it exists, but they have to make a use case or a reason why people want to come to them specifically. That can be done by creating a social experiment or experience that says, hey, come interact with us. This asset is going to have this enhancement. Or it can be done by, more naturally, this is just a side project, what we're doing, but we want to interact with you as a community, as a business that also exists in the community.
Yeah. And then for Shacklin, somebody that's worked with a lot of different MetaVentures out there, you and your partner Tosshead, how are you guys using your brand and influencing the communities for helping to build the communities and also build your brand at the same time?
Well, let's see. My business partner is Tosshead, and we are the Toss Shack. And we provide 3D assets for many different nodes in Upland. We also are focused on Detroit ourselves and have the Avenue of Fashion, which you will all be hearing more about down the road. I'm also a leader of Creedmoor Hub. It's the Halloween node in Queens, Belarus, Queens. In all of these cases, many different nodes, my own nodes, what the Toss Shack likes to do is help nodes figure out their node story. Like, what is your brand? What is the flavor of your node? And try to figure out how to build a meta venture, a brand, 3D assets that will enhance your community and get your message out, or create the games, possibly assets that tie into a layer 2 that you have in mind. And so I've actually lost track of what your question was.
You're doing fine.
But to me, that is really where the fun of, and the use cases of these meta ventures come in, is where you start building a community that already exists, or a community that has a reason that people want to come and be a part of it. And it all ties in together: the land ownership, the 3D assets, the meta ventures. So exciting stuff.
Thanks, Shaq. Now, I don't know if you can discuss any further. I know the partnership's pretty new, and you Nowhere in Upland are in talks with a bunch of different things, but how can Nowhere help the businesses in Upland from a interactive 3D way?
Yeah, it's pretty early to get too deep into it, but we're going to be syncing on roadmap after this Genesis week, and we'll really then get into what's going to happen within the next year and what we're going to build into that, so that the community can really start to monetize the experience side of things. We built Nowhere, to be to offer a different type of monetization for creators and artists. And I think the Upland community already, you have so many different ventures and so many different businesses and creators already doing that, and then enabling them a world builder within Blender, which is what we're built on, and Babylon.js, which is a game engine right for the web. You can really start to build experiences that you can start to monetize, coming right through the app off of your property, right into these 3D spaces. So I think, the cool thing is that we've only scratched the surface of what's possible with those tools, especially with Blender, building really high fidelity, beautiful, beautiful worlds that you can then monetize. And then with Babylon.js, all the different types of triggered animations and games that you can build with the platform are pretty extraordinary. So I'm really excited to see how the Upland community starts to leverage those tools. And then not only those tools within the gaming structure, but also in social gathering. And with the Ready Player Me avatars now having a place where you can show them off, for showcasing, all kinds of different wearables, for different types of events. And on top of that, then, larger, partnerships and larger business adventures overall of the platform, I think, too, with the, with FIFA partnerships and these other partnerships. I think those will also offer really interesting opportunities for other businesses to start to share and distribute content and different types of wearables around larger partnerships. So I think it's really, it's hard to say like specifics at this point. And you guys would know better than me within knowing Upland way better than I do. But I mean, what I can talk to is the tools aspect of it, and the power of what you can do with spatial audio, with, presenting in a 3D space, and really being able to share content within that, gating those experiences, ticketed events, memberships. There's a whole world of possibilities to make money.
And I think there's a lot of Uplanders out there looking forward to having a venue, a music venue, where you can have a show, or have a performance venue that you pay a monthly fee to, that you have access to these shows that you can walk in and experience. And that's why I'm really excited with what the partnership has the potential with. And I think a lot of people are developers in Upland that are working on layer 2 stuff will find the tools that Nowhere has very useful in helping create their experiences. It sounds like your tools are pretty intuitive and easy to use, so you don't need to be a complex developer. And I guess I should have stepped back and had you speak a little more about what Nowhere is and what you guys are bringing. I know the announcement's been made, but I don't think everybody fully has looked into your company. So if you could take a couple minutes to explain that to everyone, I'd appreciate that too.
Yeah, sure. We'll back it up. Back it up, people. Back it up. Yeah, nowhere.io. You can check it out online. And I'd encourage you to drop into several different worlds. You can see, what's possible within those worlds online. It is an open metaverse. We built it for accessibility and interaction. It's a spin-off of a live company called the Windmill Factory, which I started after being a performer in Cirque du Soleil and Forza Bruta and all these giant spectacle-driven theaters. The Windmill Factory was trying to bring those theatrical experiences beyond the walls of theater into unexpected places. So with the Windmill Factory, we did everything from giant tours for Nine Inch Nails and Metric and Fantagram and big stuff for AWS and Google, and then the pandemic hit, and we were looking at, oh man, how do we keep culture alive? How do we keep gathering alive in a time of social distance? And so we really leaned into what tools would we need to bring our experiences that we created in real life into the digital space. So we were really looking at it as how can we bring human interaction as the core of all of our work, and performance and shared collective experience in exciting, groundbreaking technology. So that's a little bit of the background on how we got to Nowhere and what we build. And with the tool today, you'll see when you go online, there's, we've had everything from, 40 band music festivals across multiple stages in multiple spaces. We've had New York Comedy Club does recurring performances where there's live shows in Manhattan at the club, and then they stream into Nowhere, and there's a global audience in Nowhere. Book launches, product launches, full conferences. CoinDesk hosted all their networking within Nowhere. Salesforce and Google have used it for team meetings, and it really, at the core of Nowhere, what you'll see is that we lean into video chat within the Nowhere platform, because we believe in that human interaction. And for the Upland partnership, we brought in what we always wanted to bring in the future, which was avatars. And so within the Upland version of Nowhere, you'll see that the Ready Player Me avatars are within the Upland spaces. So I think I make that differentiation right now so that you don't go on to Nowhere and get confused that it's a different form factor for the type of social interaction. But that's a little bit of background on where we're coming from in Nowhere, and where we're headed in the future is we're really leaning into a lot of AI generation tools to really make creation of these 3D experiences much simpler and much more exciting to be able to generate. And I think that's one thing that's going to really advance the metaverse and the creation for creators. If you think back where we were with like video technology, 15 years ago, and where we are now with generating TikToks and generating Instagrams, that's going to be what AI is going to bring to these 3D creation tools. And Blender's already starting to activate those. So we're going to get, moved from a UGC to what I call a player-generated experience. So what was user-generated content, which is a passive experience of watching something, is going to now go into a player-generated experience where you can generate these experiences on the fly right there for your metaventure, and have people, interacting with the experience and changing and transforming these 3D assets. And that's going to be super exciting for the future of where this goes and where these 3D worlds go.
No, that's really exciting stuff. Looking forward to how this develops over the next couple of years. Shaq, what are your thoughts what are you excited for with this partnership of Upland and Nowhere, and how it will help the communities and businesses?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to be able to go into a cafe and meet the community and hang out together without leaving the Upland Layer 1 app. And I think that it's going to really help us bond and communicate, and that's naturally good for business, of course. So, yeah.
Thanks, Shaq. TheGoldsmith, what are your thoughts there? Same question.
I want my cafe. No, I talked to John earlier, and it's this idea that it's being done mindfully as far as what already exists and being integrated into Upland. And ultimately, Upland, that social element has always been outside of the game. And to Shaq's point, if we can bring that into the game of Upland, you open up an entirely different market set. You got a 30% penetration right now of Uplanders who are actually in Discord. So this is going to open it up to a larger degree of people. And again, the interaction is a different type of interaction than what we normally get in Discord or other voice channels or other even text channels. You know, a lot of the communication that's done in Discord is obviously a text channel. So it is a huge opportunity. It is going to change the future of the game of Upland. And ultimately, it does what Upland's been looking to do, is make it a platform, but a big part of that platform to be in connection, almost like it is I don't know, maybe a metaverse. So it's at the right time. I think the technology is there for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this gets implemented.
All right, we are running out of time for this panel, so before we get through with this, John, is there anything else you want to put out there to the Upland community about the future, or you think you covered it pretty well? I mean, I think you covered it pretty well, but I didn't know if you had anything up your sleeve that you were saving for the end.
Yeah, ta-da, pull a rabbit out of a hat. No. I'd just like to say thanks to the Upland team. You guys are awesome. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and thanks to the Upland community. I want to share a random tidbit that I was going to the bathroom, and the cleaning lady was blocking the bathroom, and we were like, oh, can we go in? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. And she was a little miffed. And then when we came out of the bathroom, she was very emotional, and she said, of all my years working here, you guys are the best people who have ever been in here. So I think that's a real testament to this group of people in this community, that what you guys have built, and what the possibility now is that when you can do this type of social gathering in the platform with these new tools. So I'm just really excited. Grab me, talk to me about what, your excitements about what you want to do in the future and everything. So I'm just really thanks to the team for welcoming us to the community, and we look forward to growing with you guys and seeing where we can take this.
Thank you, John. Thank you, TheGoldsmith. Thank you, Shaq, for being a part of this panel. I could go on and on about communities and meta-ventures in Upland, but we are out of time. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the Upland Property Experts podcast, please do that, and check us out every Thursday night. I got to shamelessly plug myself. Come on now.
Got to get the plug in there.
All right, we have another panel coming up, a special one about cars and racing. We're also going to have a demo of the carts, the Genesis carts, over in the corner. But before we do, we've got some more stuff to give away. Let's give away another cafe pass.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations. You got yourself a cafe pass. And let's do another Series 1E car here. Let's do yellow.
Rebel Mitch.
Rebel Mitch, congratulations. You got yourself a car. 5 minutes, and we'll start the panel on racing. Thank you.
right, guys, we are going to get ready for our next panel here. This is going to be the evolution of racing, hosted by Dak. Can we get Idan is going to be on this panel with Jeremy, and Gustavo is joining us today. We're also doing something very special right now, guys. We have set up some computers in the back here for anybody that wants to come test drive interactive racing with the go-karts. If you come race, you do have a chance to win 50,000 UPIX. So come on, line up. Carlos is going to be over here so you can ask him any questions you guys have. So go get your chance to win 50,000 UPIX.
Is this on?
Yep, we'll play that video now. All right, this is a very special, we have Gustavo from Stock Car here on this panel. This is a very special one. And we do have a world premiere video right now of Stock Car, just for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Who else feels a need for speed? Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about racing. I'm excited to have the panel, and we'll just go quickly down the line, introduce yourself, tell them who you are and what you do, so they know who you are. Well, maybe not Idan.
I'm Jeremy Parker. I'm a senior product manager at Upland. I'm mostly responsible for racing, so I'm excited about this opportunity.
Hello everyone, I'm Gustavo, you can call me Guga, and I'm a CMO of Stock Car, and I'm more excited than Jeremy to this project.
I'm Idan, I do what they tell me to do.
All right, so first, we're very excited about racing, where racing's going. A year ago, Jeremy was in the URL town hall. We talked about racing before Genesis. Everybody was like, wait, you guys are racing and talking about cars? Here we are, we're announcing Stock Car Pro. It's definitely come a long way. Let's start with Jeremy. Can we talk a little bit about where we're headed with racing? Idan kind of alluded to it a little bit, but can you give us a little more info?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm looking to do is incorporate some player agency into racing. And you know, Stock Car is a perfect example of why I wanted to do this. Previously, in the past year, we were kind of set up as a simulation for racing, and I wanted a little bit more player agency. So I wanted you to be able to make important decisions at important points in the race itself. We're finally there. We're getting there. It's coming. So that's what I'm most excited about is this new interactive version.
Idan, how does that align with your strategy for racing in Upland and just bringing the motorsports to Upland?
Yeah, so first of all, a couple of things. We've always envisioned, again, you guys have now for a year known the brand MV Motors, which was, again, just meant as a demonstration. At the end of the day, we wanted to bring in more real-world brands. And I think what I love about our partnerships with Stock Pro is that this incorporates a lot of real-world elements. So it is actual real cars, real race drivers, real tracks around the world that would map to racetracks in Upland. So this is really the next level of basically blurring between the physical world and the metaverse using exciting game mechanics, exciting NFTs, exciting brand partners. So to me, that's one of the most exciting partnerships today.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the partnership. Gustavo, Guga. So, can you tell me more about the partnership between Stock Car and Upland, and kind of like what was the idea behind the collaboration? Why pick Upland?
Sure. I mean, as Jeremy and Idan talked here, we together when we got our first talks with also Ney, which is the Brazilian country manager, and they explained me all the project and all the racing drive forward they are looking for in development. I mean, it really matches with our goals. We have some goals in marketing in stock car, and three of the main points of our goals, I mean, really fit into the project. So one is engagement, of course. I mean, we try to bring new ways to engage, not only the fan to be passive looking at the race, but how can we put him inside the races and do something and engaging with the brand. So that's point number one. Point number two, innovation, of course. I mean, as you saw, we have 44 to 45 years of competition, and we are also, of course, worried about the next 44. So being in the metaverse and being in a really good project like the Upland have it for motorsports, it's the one other point that seduces in terms of the project. And the last one, as all traditional sports, we are looking for new audiences and new ways to bring things to our race. So we see here in Upland a massive audience that engaging in motorsports, as you know, and so we are really excited. Also, as we saw here, I mean, we are excited to come here next year and heard about you and what are the next developments that we're going to make. So that's what's bringing us here.
Every year it gets better. All right, I do want to make it a little interactive. Who knows where Stock Car Pro Brazil is headquarters? Anyone? Oh, what? You want to tell them?
It's Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo. Anyone want a hat? Because I got hats I'm giving away. So you got to, if I have a question. Someone said it? Where? Let's see if we can throw that far. All right. So one of the questions that kind of comes up as you start to introduce partner racing is we've had this concept of community racing in URL. And so when you start looking at what Upland is doing with racing in the MV motor cars, and then you start seeing partners coming in like Stock Car Pro, how do they coexist? How do they collaborate, and how do they push each other to help the community engage in racing and kind of take it to the next level?
Question for me?
Sure.
I'll go after you.
It's for the panel. It's for the panel.
Go ahead.
I mean, the most important thing is to bring brand awareness to people who may not have been ever aware of what Stock Car Pro is and what they're doing. So we could do that with creating events around live races. And really building the content that we all know and love inside of Upland, legits. So we can create things that actually memorialize not only stock car as a brand, but memorialize actual races that occurred in the real world. So we can do that with real race tracks. So for instance, if we can recreate a race inside of Upland and have it tied to a real world event, and we can bring that information, that brand awareness to people that we didn't even know existed. And I'll say that, like, one thing that I find interesting about this is the ability to have a brand that exists that we're bringing awareness to, and still have it not any more important than the MV Motor stuff that we've done before, right? And I know that that's one of the discussions that Dak and I have had is I have invested money into a Series 1. That just because we're doing stuff with stock car doesn't also mean that we're invalidating anything. They can both coexist. And I think there's really good ideas around how they can coexist. And do you want to add any more to that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, again, it all comes back to the open nature of the metaverse and the type of an inclusive economy and game system that we are trying to put together. And again, at some point down the road, the community is going to be able to design cars and build them. And they may not be the fastest cars. Maybe they are kind of like the equivalents of Toyota Corollas that you can own. And maybe as such, they are a low barrier of entry. But there's no reason why you can't take, let's say, these cars and let's say in the scope of some kind of community racing league, still utilize Stock Car Pro's racetracks to race there if you want to. And it doesn't have to be an official Stock Car Pro race, but the raceway still exists. So it's not mutually exclusive, right? It's an ecosystem. And maybe one day you start as a, young kid owning a Toyota Corolla and you race yourself up, and at some point you get into the Stock Car Pro ecosystem and you start getting drivers and training them, and after years you become a Stock Car Pro esports champion in Upland. So again, I don't see them as competing, they're all definitely not mutually exclusive also.
There is a movie coming out, Gran Turismo, about an
I was
esport.
going to say, he just described the Gran Turismo movie to a T. But yeah, absolutely.
Was it a Toyota Corolla? Sorry,
he did. He started on a video
Stock Car Pro
game.
actually uses Toyota Corolla. So maybe I need like another example of maybe Volkswagen Jetta or something.
A simulator.
So, and you were talking about, the idea of being able to kind of start and then elevate. So what is the roadmap for Stock Car Pro and kind of incorporating what you're looking to get out of the partnership with Upland and what you can bring in terms of your vision of what the roadmap looks like? Gugu, that's for you. Yeah, for you.
Okay, sure. To start, we are building a project which is really like stage 1. Of course, in our discussions, we mentioned things like stage 4, 5, and things like that. But we're really sticking to stage 1, which is bringing all the assets of stock car to Upland because they are, of course, really cool assets. I mean, we have helmets, we have the suits, we have gloves, cars, of course. So we are bringing it all to Upland. And also, in addition to replicate, we are also free to create things that we think that maybe works in the digital and not in the physical world. So we are not limited to just what stock car have in physical, let's replicate. No. And besides, we have talked about this. Let's use the best of the digital in terms to create there. And maybe one day we are going to bring something from digital to the physical world. Why not?
So prototyping.
Yeah, prototyping. And we are in stock car. We are mostly in the test and learn in digital. So we are really, I'm not saying new, but near you guys, we are new and we are still learning a lot. So we have a lot to learn, and also to teach you guys in terms of the physical racing, things like that we have on our background. So we are drawing this together to have a lot of stages and to engage people with a lot of the Upland mechanics that you have already. So
Okay.
that's what we are drawing, but also the racetracks. One idea that we have is to not only replicate, but to bring it on from the dead, some old racetracks that used to have. So
so like a retro kind of
yeah,
race
yeah,
day.
like
Does that mean retro cars?
why not?
Yeah. All right, you heard it here first. Quick audience participation question. Where is MV Motors located? All right, I heard it over there somewhere. All right. All right. Nah, not you. All right. So I got to throw some hard questions out there too, right? Right now, we just had our final race. There's been some challenges in racing in terms of like a corner, someone takes a corner, comes to a complete stop, so gets passed by someone else. We had someone in first place go to the back. Jeremy, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on? How is racing looking going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate your patience. We've been talking about racing for now for a year. I will say that at some point, probably about 6 months ago, we decided, we took a step back and we looked at all of the things that we wanted to do with racing, and we determined that there were going to need to be some fairly substantial code updates that would need to happen in order to support the future. So one thing that we did was we took a moment to really fix those issues, and it required a lot of rework. So what you're seeing now with the interactive version, it's just in beta, is the culmination of those 6 months worth of work to get us to a point where I feel comfortable saying that those issues will be fixed in the very near future. Meaning that, I have always wanted, if you go into a turn too fast, for instance, there's a handling statistic. The handling should be taken into account for that. And we didn't really have that at that point. We had to make a bunch of decisions at the very beginning for the stats of all of the cars. So you've seen those stats for quite a while. The reason for that is we have to mint them on the blockchain, right? The NFT needed all of that information built into it. And so we minted it knowing that we were going to use it. We just, are getting to the point where we're starting to actually implement that work. So you will see, now that we have the interactive version, meaning you can actually change lanes, you can, we give you a certain number of boosts every race, and there's a brake pedal that you can actually use now. So you're much more in charge of how racing occurs, and I will be 100% honest and say the braking around the turn hasn't been fixed yet, but we are now set up in a spot where we have the code base where we can actually branch out and start to not only fix the problems, but start to incorporate all of these stats that will impact the gameplay in very meaningful ways. And in order to do that, I really wanted to push for this interactivity. And then, now racing becomes something that it's a little bit more, engaging if you choose to be that engaged. You can still play at an 80% kind of level, like I'm half paying attention, you can still finish the race. But if you pay attention at 100%, then you can actually micromanage and perform much better.
So as a player, you can start to take advantage of some of those stats.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Now, one of the things that we talked about is experience, engagement, and community. And so, Gustavo, as you look at Stock Car Pro coming in, how do you see that kind of providing and adding to the experience of the community and kind of bringing some of that enjoyment to the community? And then Idan, after Gustavo, I want to know if you see any way that experience can actually then be incorporated into like neighborhood ratings and things like that.
So, we have discussed a lot about this as well. I mean, we are even thinking about bringing also in some mechanics, like some physical experience. Of course, we have the geographical challenge because we only race in South America yet. But this is one point that to bring more engagement. I mean, even some digital things with pilots, with drivers, with the teams, and maybe broadcast racings inside there, making some inside the cafes, maybe to do like the race weekend.
How many countries did you say you guys are in?
We broadcast to 150.
150 countries.
Yeah, it passes.
Yeah,
the
that's what we're
races.
talking about
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, we have a really huge audience, so it's really nice. And but we only race in Brazil. We have a race in Buenos Aires this year as well. And next year we are preparing something a little bit faster. Abroad than in South America, but still working on that.
Well, South America is going to get some functionality and some excitement then.
For sure.
Idan, how does that play into neighborhood ratings and things like that?
Yeah, so I'll start answering specifically about neighborhood ratings because you asked, and then maybe take it broader to neighborhoods in general. So regarding neighborhood ratings, there are some direct ties. At the end of the day, setting up speedways. First of all, you need to invest spark, so that counts to neighborhood ratings. And then also that would create some kind of a velocity, so successful raceways will generate more apex to the community pool, which will in turn increase neighborhood ratings. So there's an inherent connection there. But then I think what's more exciting to me at least is now the chance of making neighborhoods just a bit more immersive right now. And I always like to use that future example. And now you can combine the concept of maybe cafes that you just saw in the last 2 days launch with maybe racetracks happening around you. So what if I establish a cafe or a rooftop that somebody owns, right, in the middle of the racetrack, and now I throw a watch party, and we actually see the race going around us. This is technically possible. Technology exists today. That's basically 360 degrees streaming. It will take us time to implement it, but if we envision it, now you can start imagining what this can do to neighborhoods in general in Upland. Now all those neighborhoods become more and more alive. Each and every month we are progressing forward.
Yeah, I see a nowhere racing cafe in some of these neighborhoods.
Or even more, like today when you race, right, you have a racing lobby. So you sit there staring at your phone, counting down 5 minutes until the race starts. Why not get immersed in the speedway and have a social lobby where you can interact with your competitors, like Fortnite before the the battle royale, and then it's off to the races, right? So there's no reason in the world why that would not happen.
So Jeremy, now that I could see as players can control their cars, getting into someone's head in the lobby, being like, "Oh, you suck, man."
That's why we're in, these kind of ideas.
All right, there you go. Okay, quick audience participation. What does URL stand for? All right, I got all right. Who? Someone over here. Whoa, 2 points, and then over. No, someone over here. All right. And then we only have one left, and if you notice, there was only one of these.
That one's
mine. And I got 5 minutes. Yeah. So, as we close out, each of you, what is it you're looking forward to the most when we're back here in 2024 talking about the next phase of racing in Upland? Jeremy.
I would love to see the culmination of all of our work that we've been talking about for the last year, and especially the stuff that Idan was talking about. So ideally, by the time we meet back next year, I would love to see a community event around, say, a stock car pro race where we have a 360-degree version of the track that we can actually see cars going around. It feels much more immersive. And then from the race perspective, I want to, as a player, I want to be able to feel like I'm actually in control of how I perform in the race, at least to some degree, right? And so I want all of that. I want the community, I want the brand, I want the interactive racing all to come together in this like perfect triumvirate of just fun.
Yes, I mean, my expectation here to the next year is to completely launch the Stock Car Pro that we are working on so hard, and get here and hear some feedbacks from you and hear to ideas for the next phases and things that we are doing on pipeline, and see the engagement of all of you in terms of items, cars, and things like that. So it's going to be pretty awesome for us.
All right.
So I want to go a bit beyond, and yeah, next year, absolutely, I want to see a mind-blowing racing game that everybody enjoys and loves. But then at some point, I want somebody from the community to come with a developer racing program that outdoes Upland's one, and actually creates a better one. And I don't know if you guys, anybody here know a game called Death Track? It's an early 90s game, no? It's like you're racing where you could get to shoot missiles on one another, right? So we could have these fun iterations of racing in the future. I know it's going to take time, but at the end of the day, when we see, again, in the spirit of the open metaverse, where we see our racing infrastructure then be interpreted by the community with, a lot of extension of different games, that's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah, and carts are perfect for that, right? Like that we've been talking about the differences between, say, an MV Motors car versus a cart, and I think the carts really open us up to an opportunity to be able to have people create something that doesn't really exist in the real world, but is still really cool to go around and eventually we can shoot missiles at each other.
Viva los Upland! I'm giving you a shout out. X-Carts on UpX World. There it is. Okay, final for this. We just held the URL championship race. We have a new champion for URL. Who knows who won the championship? I heard it over here. Yep, Shaq, you win this one. Now, I will also say I got a couple more. If you have a URL NFT, and you want to burn that NFT, you can get real life swag. So here's where you get to use those URL NFTs. Not many people have them, but if you have one and you burn it, you'll get a hat. Wow. There you go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panel. You guys have been great.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more panel left today, but before we do that, we're going to give away 5 totems to 5 lucky winners. And our first winner,
We have Shro. Is that how
Shro, congratulations, you have a totem.
Next, WW Dog.
WW Dog, come on down. You've got a totem.
Rebel Mitch.
Rebel Mitch, that's his second win of the day. Congratulations, Rebel Mitch. Cryogenics as well, also number 2. 5, yeah. Jackman, also with our last totem of the day. 5 minutes and we'll be in our last panel, the future of the metaverse. Stay tuned. Totem, everyone won a totem. Totem.
All right, what's up, everybody? I am your host, Loyldoyl. Today we're talking about envisioning the future of the metaverse. And we have Radished with us and Danny Brown Wolf. So, hey, thank you. I did a podcast with Radished actually, I don't know, about 6 months ago.
Yeah, probably about 6 months, yeah.
And really, we had this discussion about we really just enjoyed speculating and kind of theorizing about the future of where the metaverse could go.
Absolutely.
And all the different things that Upland is doing, creating the necessary like friction and real world, and that how important that aspect is to the metaverse.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think it's almost a recurring theme among everything that we've seen here today. Every community panel really has been about the future of the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
And I think this year's been a bit of an interesting sort of transitional year in the history of Upland. I think this time last year, we were still very much in the Upland is a property trading game, and you were seeing little roots of what it might become. But I think it's only really this year, sort of this Genesis week, we're seeing all of the amazing projects on the hackathon, the incredible stuff that's going on behind the curtain over there. I think it's finally here. I think the kind of speculative stuff we were talking about just 6 months ago, it's finally happening, and I think it's a bit easier for people to kind of recognize what the future of the metaverse is going to be and kind of the role that Upland is going to play there.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we're not the experts. I mean, the people that have been on stage before us today actually doing the hackathon, I think are the ones that really inspire us, because really I think what I've felt today is like a new chapter for Upland, where the community is really realizing it's on us to come in and create value in the metaverse. And it's an entrepreneurship-based metaverse. And even thinking about the disruption this will have to current social media platforms like Discord and Reddit, like those are platforms the Upland community uses currently, but it's exciting to see how much we can get more and more just immersed in the Upland metaverse to do all of that interaction.
Yeah.
Right?
I think to frame this conversation, we're now seeing the manifestation of a lot of the vision and the open architecture that's fundamental to create all these things as the future of the metaverse. So when I first interviewed with Idan and Dirk, and they were talking to me about the open architecture as the foundation for the future of the metaverse, that's where it just like clicked. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're building now for, and what future it can accommodate, because a lot of those foundational design decisions will really affect the future. If you think about Roblox and Sandbox and just other metaverse platforms right now, the decisions that they've made was to have developers build using their tools something that's unique to their platform, which means that a lot of the value, when that happens, maintains on that platform. So they kind of like monopolize the value, but they lock developers in. And for me, coming from Web3, a lot of the, I would say, forkability of the, when you think about the theory of blockchains themselves, the fact that if you don't like what the operators of the blockchain or the developers are doing, the community can fork it. And with when you have this closed architecture, it's much harder to do that. And as a developer, you don't want to develop for one thing, you want to develop for everything. And if that's the open metaverse, and there's going to be interoperability of assets, of identity, of games and second layer development, you have to have that foundation built that way. And I think that has been the vision of Upland all along, and now we're starting to bear the fruits of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you sort of take every decision that Upland has really made from sort of a gameplay perspective, from a balancing perspective, the fact that they love to release, new cities for FSA players to jump on in. Everything there sort of makes more sense when you consider it from the perspective that they want Uplands to be really, really accessible to like everybody, right? They want everybody to have like at least a little piece of it, so then they can, piggyback off that and sort of take part in some of these other, projects that the community have created. So.
And it's not just the community. I would add that I'm talking to a lot of brand partners, and a lot of them have either already built and played around with, an experience on Unity. And they're like, how much is it going to cost us? Like, what do we need to do to build an Upland? And I'm like, you could take what you already built and just connect it to our APIs. And their mind is blown. They're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what was so exciting. I remember coming to Genesis Week last year and just walking away, blown away with this whole idea of third-party developer tools, right? And then this year, it's really coming and realizing that all the tools are here, and it's now a call for people to actually come and build on the platform, right? And utilize Upland to grow whatever that is, your business, your brand, or a game that you want to create. Why go publish that on another platform when Upland gives you so many tools and an already existing audience who wants to utilize and find value in those tools?
And I think the quality of the submissions that we're already seeing, the stuff that we can already interact with, using Upland as a base platform, I think demonstrates that approach that Upland is taking is surely the right one. The communities and the organizations that partner with Upland and kind of create these experiences, they are the ones who are ultimately, they know best in terms of what's going to drive people to want to engage with their product. Like, why leave that to Upland themselves when, the real experts in that front are the people who are actually, producing this stuff.
And I love that you mentioned that you're referring to the players as experts, because we're seeing that more and more, that different either Upland players bring in indie games to come talk to us and say, they explain to them, this is what you can do in Upland, this is how you can develop, let me bring you in. So these are already built out games that are super cool and relevant to Upland, that are now, through the experts, which are you guys, understand how best to monetize, how best to connect to the community, and see it as a real growth driving factor, which is really hard to do these days. Like, if you're out there speaking to game developers or experienced developers, given the market in general and the fact that it's very hard and costly to advertise to specific audiences and convert them, all of a sudden they have a platform that allows them to do that, and immediately from day one is able to give value to the users.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that sort of ties in really interestingly to sort of like the wider point of the future of the metaverse, in that kind of activity, sort of thinking 5 years into the future, I could absolutely see people whose full-time job is involved in creating content for Upland, right? We're sort of starting to see some sprouts there. There are people who are generating value from the Upland platform in that way. But as the user base continues to grow, the architecture continues to improve. I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and another thing that's been super inspiring to me is just the opportunity that we have as players. Like, we can now give consulting and bring in other brands, right? It's not, I think there's also been this thing where we're kind of waiting for Upland to bring us the next cool, like FIFA or NFLPA, and those partnerships are amazing. They're really big brands, but now it's like the players, there's nothing keeping us back from also going and making connections with brands, bringing them in, and that's why I feel it's really a new wave of social media, in digital marketing, kind of my background. there was email marketing, and then everyone knew, you got to do email marketing, and you got to have a website, and then you got to be doing, text messaging and automation, and then you got to be big into social media advertising. I really see Web3 and the metaverse is just a new way for brands to have immersive experiences. It's just taking that marketing to a new level for brands.
I'm certain that just like now every company or even like nonprofit has their social media person, they will have their metaverse person. That's a full-time job, and that's going to be a big part of how they do marketing. And one thing that is I would say an educational experience for a lot of these brands as they start marketing in this space more and more is something we explain to them, that it's about co-creation. So there's this evolution in the future of the metaverse as a marketing tool, that you are no longer here to just sell something or just create content for your users. Your users, your audience, your community members are co-creators with you. So we will always prefer to do something that involves the community in as many aspects as possible. So everything that Upland does, like when we bring a partnership, especially for new features, for us it's a display of abilities, and the idea is that we do it ourselves, like MV Motors. We bring in partners like Stock Car and others that are coming, but eventually, like, we want you guys to bring car brands. We want you guys to create your own UGC car brands, and that's the evolution in the product as well.
And so how do you foresee players being able to really take advantage of that? And what's like the timeline? What are maybe some of the constraints that we currently have, but that, as more and more features come, we can do more with that?
So I think we're now bringing in a lot of features, and then our next our technological challenge is how to do it at scale, because UGC requires scale and automation. So in our backend, and we're doing it one by one, and obviously there's a lot going on, so there's a backlog, but part of that backlog is also because we need to automate processes. Yeah. So if you think about the car UGCs, like right now creating a car as an asset takes a long time from our team, and it's part of like manufacturing also takes time, but even all the back end, both on the design and the development side. And it's our job now that you guys know what to do with these assets and the economy already exists, to now build the automation back end, so you guys can have a platform to create those assets, to QA them, and we can run them down the demand and supply chain a lot faster. Yeah,
absolutely. So what will be, I mean, is there fear and concern for like the type of content? Obviously, that when it comes to user-generated content, there's just a lot of aspects, right? Like making sure it fits the brand well and it's appropriate and all of those types of things. So how do we kind of build governance around that as well, and like controlling?
So like everything in Upland, we start out as a more controlled environment. We have our terms and conditions for everything that we do, whether it's the developer network or the UGC asset creation. And hopefully in the future we can automate a lot of this, in QA, and add another layer of governance, just like you guys do half of the work for us with identifying bad actors, for example. Yeah. Like a lot of those things, like helping, and this is a problem that all social media platforms have. Like, how do you do content moderation? Right? And the participation of the community is very important. You see that on Twitter. Like, the only way Twitter can do that is through reporting. With Upland, it's even more interesting model to do something like that, because we can actually incentivize and reward users for that behavior, whether it's with their user score or with UpX.
Absolutely, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That's super powerful. And then as more players, get to do that. One thing I was talking about Radished about was the evolution that nodes will begin to have, because nodes have been created and communities are coming together and kind of gathering around those nodes, but with the additional like customization that we can do with user-generated content, I think we'll take nodes and communities to the next level, really.
Right, absolutely. I think if, we're sort of starting to see it already. These nodes, they've gone beyond just taking a slice of the Upland metaverse and just kind of putting buildings on it and selling them for UPIX, right? There is a little bit of that, but also there's just communities who are, creating areas to, share their hobbies or, to celebrate, parts of the world that they're from or whatever. So it's almost like a much more immersive version of sort of those Web 2 community, the stuff you might see on Reddit or whatever. I think it's, as once we start to see the cafes and stuff like that really coming into the game, the ability to, manufacture outdoor decor and such on a much wider scale, you can really theme these communities. People can, sort of jump into Upland. They might be enthusiastic about, martial arts or something, and they might be able to search that up on the directory and go, oh, hey, there's a community for that, and you can become a part of that and sort of talk with people in a much more immersive environment. So yeah, as far as
to build upon that, how do you see cafes, this idea of cafes helping that even further?
I think cafes are going to be absolutely integral to that. I think just naturally for people being able to immerse in that 3D space. I mean, some of the pictures we saw earlier about the cafes, the fact that you're sort of standing up there and then in the background you can see all of the other properties surrounding it and all the decor that's out there. It feels much more real, right? And the fact that that all of these other properties around are also owned by people who are enthusiastic about the same thing as you. It's just a fantastic environment to kind of engage with other people.
I would add another term that we often use when we're describing nodes and the way Upland is built, that it's mapped to the real world, and that's context. Context is something that's really missing from a lot of the other metaverses, whether it's with communities or with brands. They're like, where are we supposed to go? Like, how do we know exactly what's like, what our interests are, etc. And when you have something that's related to the real world, you can say, okay, it makes sense for Vegas, for the Strip, to be where games are. Right? And it makes sense for LA or certain areas of LA to be, oh, this is the fashion district, right? This is where I go buy my wearables. This is where people who are interested in wearables or want to sell it. Just like we have when we worked with the X NFT for their Metafort, we're like, where should it be? And it's a shooting game, and we're like, it should be in Texas. It makes sense for it to be in Texas, right? And brands think about it the same way. It just makes sense to them. And seeing that from a cafe and having that context, and I will never presume to know what the future of nodes are, because anything that we provide you as a tool, you guys take it like 5 levels up, doing things we can't even dream of, and it's up to us to catch up and just give you tools to build it further. But I do have to say, and this relates to something Dirk answered in the AMA regarding regarding growth, is that we are seeing now for the first time some of it completely organic, and some of it that we're actually partnering with other existing communities who want to come to Upland and use it as metaverse as a service. So if you know, in the NFT world, Bored Apes, they're the only project that's building, and Gala, of course, but the ones that are building their own metaverse. And I mean, Gala and Bored Apes, with the other side, they can afford to build their own metaverse. It's a few-year project, just like it took to building Upland a few years. But 99.9% of the other NFTs projects, that they have communities, they've gathered communities around a concept, around common interest, or maybe just they aped into something and then they created a community, right? And now they're always looking for, okay, what can we do with this community? Where can we gather? How do we give more value to our users? And finding Upland, understanding all the features we already built for them, they're like, this makes so much sense for us. Like, we'll do a neighborhood takeover, we'll have our showrooms, and we'll sell derivatives of our original NFTs. We'll bring our community. We can have a cafe that's like a club for our community. It's like, why would we ever build our own metaverse when we can just have this community in Upland? And I think that's really going to be part of the next evolution that we're going to see in Upland of these Web3 communities coming in.
And I do think that kind of being based on the real world means Upland is kind of uniquely suited to that kind of community engagement. That's why I've stuck with Upland, and I've never even bothered really looking into the others. I think I said it to you on our previous podcast. I sort of made a comparison between the fact that you've got Grand Theft Auto and then you've got, Red Dead Redemption, both by the same developer, both, popular in their own right, but Grand Theft Auto, far more popular. And I think that's because it's more relatable, it's set in the modern world, it's got real streets, It's kind of like that, right? Quality of the game aside, that's just what people look for. Something that's kind of relatable. And I think organizations and communities, looking for a place to set up home in the metaverse, I think that's something that matters quite a lot.
Absolutely. There has to be perceived value with the item that you're investing in, and how you can use that. We only have a few minutes left, but even that inspired me to think, like, bigger communities and much larger topics could take over entire cities. Like, it doesn't have to be, so far we've been thinking about nodes as very like neighborhood specific, because that's kind of what the first node and the first few nodes really were focused on. But it could also go bigger or smaller. It's just what, the community can come in and engage with the platform and create their own ways of kind of spreading, creating what the metaverse really is. So.
And I'm really excited, and out of all the partnerships we've had this year, that I had fun working with all of them, but I was really excited about Mangera. And that's because the local aspect of the Upland map, when you bring in something that's so entrenched in local culture, and then open it up to the world, but still in the context of that locality of Rio de Janeiro. And when I talk to different potential partners, and they have that deep cultural connection to a location, that gets me really excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I couldn't say it any better. Thank you so much.
I think that's it. Yep.
All right, what a day, everyone. Thank you very much for attending and being here. Here's how the rest of the evening is going to work. We're actually going to shut this room down, and at 6:30 it opens back up for dinner. I hear the dinner's a buffet, so come back, come for dinner. There's an open bar, so you definitely want to come back. We are doing giveaways as well. We are going to give away 2 cafe passes. You have to be in person to get those during the award show tonight, and 2 stock cars. So you got to be in person to get those as well. Make sure you come back. You're not going to want to miss it. It's the award show. Find out who won the hackathon, and then come party with us. See you guys at 6:30.
swallow your pride. Take a look inside and let them describe. I'm a doctor, it's your weakness that you're seeking, you will find. Whoa.